Hey, good evening and welcome to the 6 p.m. City Council meeting of December 9th, 2025. Please note that all council members are present. With that, I'll turn the time over to Vice Chair Heyer to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Chair White. If you would please stand if you're able and join me in reciting the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We could take a quick moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. Are there any acknowledgements? Councilmember Chaburka, I'm always looking to you. Any acknowledgement? No. Okay. All right. Vice Chair Heyer, would you
Chair,
like to?
yes, if I might make a quick motion to reorder our agenda to take item 8 and move it up to right after item 3.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Heyer, second by Councilmember Chaburka to move the order of the agenda around. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, great. All right, then we'll turn the time over to Councilmember Myers.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. It's my privilege today to recognize Judy and Leon Jones and many friends who are here with them. And I just want to extend a warm welcome to all of you as tonight we recognize them for their significant contribution to our city. I have a proclamation that I'd like to read. Ogden City Council and Mayor proudly recognize Judith and Leon Jones for their invaluable contributions to Ogden City. Judy and Leon have been devoted supporters of Union Station building and museums for many years. The family contributed one of the most important gun collections in the United States, a car to the Browning-Kimball Car Museum, and other museum pieces. They have made significant contributions to the arts, including a major support for what is now Onstage Ogden, Ogden School Foundation, and the Eccles Art Center. Judy has shared her extraordinary artistic talent with the community. Judy and Leon have consistently advanced education through their enduring support of public school reading programs, the donation of books and supplies, and help provide opportunities for countless students to thrive. Their families played a vital role in the creation of the Browning Arts Center at Weber State University, established the Browning Presents program, and has made contributions to many Weber State programs. Judy and Leon have demonstrated their commitment to the vitality of Ogden as business owners on historic 25th Street and as active participants in city policy, always working toward the betterment of our community. Judy and Leon embody the spirit of community through their dedication as gardeners, artists, philanthropists, and visionaries whose work has uplifted the quality of life in Ogden and beyond. As Louis Breeze said at a symphony board meeting years ago, Judy and Leon are unpretentious heart and soul of this community. It's my privilege to present this today, the 9th day of December, 1925, signed by our 2025, thank you. I'm in the wrong decade. That would have been a little early for even Leon, I think. This is signed by our chair, Marcia White, and also by our mayor, Benjamin Nodalski. So it's my privilege to present this recognition to both of you, Leon and Judy. We just invite you to come forward to receive this. Do we ask them to make comments first? Our privilege. We all want to shake your hand. And Judy, we recognize you there, even though you're a little more modest in your being here. But we'll let Leon, we'll let the light shine on him today. But this recognition is for you both.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll hand this to her because I can't move very well with it. How are you, Dad?
Oh, well,
Fine,
congratulations.
Pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much for everything
Angela.
you've done.
Yeah.
It's an honor. Thank you.
Yeah. Here, thank you. Well, hi, Mara. I'm going to shake your hand.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, fine.
And your family, and his family.
Wherever you want, Mara.
Come up.
That's great. Do you want anybody
The
else?
family, you want to come up?
Judy.
Come up, family.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. Judy's
Okay,
with
these
the
are my,
Yeah.
these are my two children, so that's all you're going to get.
I love it. I love it.
That's great. Look in here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That should be good. Thank you so much.
Whoa.
Okay, Tom, here we go.
I don't want to embarrass her, but I'll go over and sit next to Judy.
Oh, yeah, that's a great
Wait just a moment.
If I read her lips correctly, she said, "I'll kill you."
Yeah. I think you were right. I think I got that.
One of us are possibly going to get shot.
Would you like to say something?
Yeah, I would,
I think
very quick.
you get to stand right here, Dad.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
You have 3 minutes now.
I thank you very much for this. And needless to say, there are a lot of other people involved, and I'm not going to run through any of that today. And my main contribution has been through my work with the Ogden Union Station Museums. And I got involved with them like about 50 years ago when I first moved to Ogden, a little before that, and have been pretty well involved with them ever since. I got tackled into it by Tom Moore here, who said, why don't you join the Ogden Union Station Development Corporation? Now, some of you may have never heard of that, but they were the organization that essentially refurbished the building, rebuilt it, built and designed the museums, and filled them with artifacts. And that was pretty well done even before I got there. Anyway, Tom asked me to be on the board, which I accepted because the Union Station happened to match my interests almost exactly. I loved all the museums and was happy to be involved with them. And eventually, I got to be president of the Development Corporation shortly before the mayor announced that the Development Corporation didn't exist anymore. And then there was no such thing. And so I scrambled to change things around and decided we'd like to have some agency that was independent of the city to guide the museums themselves, which we were heavily involved in. And so we resuscitated the Ogden Union Station Foundation. It had already existed, but it was fairly moribund. And I'm not going to go over the next 40 years, but over the 40 years, we had a lot of ideas and suggestions and ways to make a new museum that could handle all of the artifacts and particularly display all of the nice railroad things that we had. And I think the recognition is that it really should sort of be a Museum of Ogden and covering most of the things that happen here, but the railroad amongst the most important. And we came up with all sorts of things to do, new buildings, new expansions into the laundry building, out along the campus, whatever else. But now, the mayor, the administration, and a new council have an exciting chance at this land now that we never had before. And that is, we've realized, and I think you've all realized, that the Union Station building itself is a great monument to the city, but it's old, falling down, and needs help. And you also have another wondrous advantage that you've got about a 4-block long strip of land on either side of the Union Station building itself that is just primed to do something with. And I think with your agreements with the UTA and one thing and another, that's about ready to come about. Now, I want to say a few things about that. I think the first go around at that was done by the developer was in the interest of the developer and not the interest of the cities and the citizens of Ogden. So I'm sort of glad, I hope that's been set aside. The other thing I want to say is, and I've been harping on this, by the way, and we have been for 30 some odd years, and that is that you need to make this development down there and the museums and things part of Ogden City. And that is part of the downtown. You cannot build a vibrant development over there that doesn't include downtown, that doesn't include the Wonder Block. And unfortunately, the only way to do this is to get rid of Wall Avenue. And now I would like you all to try to envision the downtown Ogden with Wall Avenue being turned into a plaza with trees, grass, benches, walking paths, sports availability and things so that people can get back and forth between the development at the Union Station and for instance, now the Wonder Block. So then what would I like to see? I'd like to see a development in that area that is built around new museums and is based on the architecture of 25th Street and not the Wonder Block, and that it all can come about quickly. We would like to think, as I think the mayor now has agreed with the Union Station Foundation, that we can be a little better partners than we have been in the last little while, and that we would like to work together with you and all the new people to get the new museums up and running by hiring a museum expert that knows what they're doing. They know how to design a museum. They know how to set up the museums themselves to go out and get funding for people and get this thing rolling again and get back to the developers and the designers to fit the new museums that meet the qualities needed in with the rest of the development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leon.
I just want to say one thing to point out who this man is. When the city decided it didn't have the money to run and pay the bills at Union Station, the city decided it wasn't going to pay the water bill, it wasn't going to pay the light bill, it wasn't going to pay the running of the building. This man wrote the checks for years, paying for the running of Union Station. This is not a man just philosophically talking. This is a man who's pulled out his money, written the checks, and that's the reason we still have a building that's standing. He deserves a great hand of applause.
right, thank you very much.
May I make a quick
Yes,
comment?
please.
And I just, I love the Jones family so much. I just have to say that I can't even believe I'm saying this, but I've been here about 21 years now. And the very first week I moved here after my husband got a job at Weaver State in the art department, which I know you also have a huge hand in helping to support the arts in our community. My husband kind of pushed me out the door and said, go to that knitting group down at the Needlepoint Joint, because I did that where we lived prior. And I was, of course, very nervous and like, oh, I don't really want to go, to this new space. It made me really nervous. But that was the first place I found a home with Amelia and the knitting group on Thursday nights at the Needlepoint Joint. I met all of my friends that then helped support me even later to become a council member and really made us feel welcome in the community. So it's kind of a full circle for me to celebrate you all, because you've been such great partners, not only in the city and Union Station and all these other ways, but just being a very welcoming, comforting place to hold that on 25th Street so that people feel welcome. So thank you, and well deserved.
I'm looking at you, Mary. You usually have like comment. Huh? Okay. Any other comments?
It's your turn.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Chair White. I want to thank you, Leon, for your remarks and also for your guys' contributions over the years. And I want to assure you that one of the promises I made in the campaign was that we were going to prioritize history, prioritize preservation before we prioritize development. And I want to tell you and assure you that I've kept that promise. And that not only have I kept that promise, that we have kept that promise. And we are at a point where we have done so much engagement and gotten so much good feedback from the community. The most fulfilling part is that the vision that I have and the vision that I see in others and other leaders and decision makers is very consistent and aligned with the vision that we get from the community. And that is heartening for me, because it means that we all see the same thing. We see the value in the same thing. And where we don't see the value, we are made aware of it, and we respect each other, and we make sure that it's valued. And so I'm really excited about the plan that we have, and I'm really excited about the meeting that we had with the Union Station Foundation last week, because we were able to basically share that message and say, I think we're at a point where we have agreed that we agree. And it's time now that this is not something that we fight over anymore. This is something that we fight for. And that, because that is what it's going to take. It's going to take the entire community and the entire city and every leader in this city fighting for this station and fighting for its future based mostly on its past. That's the future is in our past, and our past is our future. So I'm really excited to have the foundation and to be convening the tables that we are now, and for us to all start to partner in a way that we can start to execute and implement on the things that we all know matter. And I just want you to know, none of that would have happened without you. None of that would have happened without everybody in this room and countless others outside the room. But you guys, that is where we find ourselves. That is something that most cities don't have, that we get to celebrate and carry our past forward into our future. So thank you for allowing that opportunity to happen.
And thank you very much. We're very encouraged that you're on the right path.
All right, thank you. All right, well, next on our agenda is number eight, but now is number 4. Is the appointment of the council executive director, and Janine Eller-Smith.
If you want to leave, this is a good time to leave.
If you don't mind, I will thank you again.
I'll be back to give the new group.
Janine.
I knew they wanted to leave, that's why I said that, so. Yes, it's an honor to stand before you tonight, council members. As you know, about a few months ago, 5 or 6 months ago, I announced to you that I was going to be retiring in January, and was then directed to start a search for a new executive director, with the goal of having someone in place by the end of the year. Because we're having new council members come on, wanted to make sure that a new executive director for the city council was in place to start building those relationships and making some changes that would fit, you know, a new change. So just a little bit about the process. You all were kind enough to give me some names from the community. We picked 6 names from the community who participated in a selection committee, and they were all great. We had Bob Hunter, Julie Johnson from United Way, Bill Ross, who's a planning commissioner, A.B. Maybe, who used to work in our office, Caitlin Gottner, who's a former council member, Doris Getty Stevenson, who's a professor at Weber State and a good friend of ours through the Hove connection. And then I also was on that committee. We put the job description out and received 49 applications. It was announced nationwide, and we did get several from other states applying for the position. So after that, we worked with the selection committee, who were very responsive, and we narrowed it down to 6 finalists. And the selection committee interviewed each of those 6 finalists and then narrowed that list down to 3 for your consideration and interviews. And as a result of those interviews, you've selected Glenn Symes, who is the current Deputy Executive Director, to serve as the next Executive Director. And so before you is just a resolution to make that appointment of Glenn Symes to the Council Executive Director position effective January 3rd, 2026.
All right. Any questions for Janine Eller-Smith before she...
It's too late. She's
She's gone.
Chair, I don't. The public probably is not aware of the process because it wasn't a very public process. Our executive director is a council-facing job. It isn't a public-facing, but we've all been pretty intently involved in this, and Glenn has been with the city for I think 15 years, and he's been the deputy for a number of years and worked in the council office the whole time I've been on the council. So he certainly has some credentials to accolades to his position. And if you're fine, I would just love to make this motion.
All right. Is that a motion?
No, I will make a motion that we adopt joint resolution 2025-7.
That's 24.
24. Wrong. Sorry, wrong page. There we go. 2025-24, appointing our new council executive director, Mr. Glenn Symes.
Second.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Heyer, second by Council Member Ritchie by a second. That was a play on words. Did you get that?
Pretty good, actually.
Yeah. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Traburka.
Aye.
Councilmember Graff.
Aye.
Councilmember Myers.
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Aye.
Vice Chair Heyer.
Aye.
Chair White.
Aye, that passes. Congratulations.
Speech.
Well, welcome, welcome, and come on up, or come on up and welcome.
Okay, well, Thanks. I know we've got a long agenda tonight, so I've just got a couple of remarks I just want to share. I didn't know if we wanted to do pictures and all that stuff first, so that's why I was kind of hanging back a little bit. But I'll go ahead and do this, and then we can proceed. Well, first, of course, I want to thank you for the opportunity to continue to serve the council and to be part of this truly amazing city. Second, of course, I want to thank Janine for everything that she's done for me to help me get to this point. I also want to thank Brandon and Eric and Steve, Mavis and Darcy from our council office. I'm definitely not going to be able to do this job without them. Since the change in the form of government in 1992, which I've talked to Mr. Hunter about, he was around at the time, there have only been 3 council executive directors, and I've had the privilege of working for 2 of them. And each director brought their own unique leadership style and approach to the work, but they were all dedicated to the success of the council and of Ogden, and I'm committed to serving you with that same dedication. Having only 3 directors over the course of more than 3 decades is only possible if those directors work for dedicated public servants who work hard every day to represent their neighbors and to make the best decisions they can for Ogden. To the outgoing council members, this is bittersweet time, of course. There will be some new faces on the dais in January, and I'll no longer be able to see you Tuesday evenings and all the other times that we get to see each other. In our time together, we have become more than just colleagues, we've become friends, and I'll miss you. To council members continuing on, I look forward to working with you in this new capacity. Your friendship will be absolutely invaluable to me as we continue our work together. To the new council members, I'm excited to get to know you, to hear your ideas, and to see your passion for Ogden. I'm committed to helping you achieve your goals as members of the Ogden City Council. To the mayor, Mara, and administrative staff, you have my commitment to building and maintaining the relationships that are absolutely necessary between the council and the administration to make Ogden prosper. So thank you again for this opportunity. I'm humbled by your faith and your trust in me, and I'm committed to working as hard as I can to help this council and this city be successful. Thank you.
Yes, come for a photo.
Yeah, bring the fam up.
Yep.
The fam. Congratulations, Glenn. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Glenn.
You guys come over this way a little bit. Over here.
Oh.
Okay.
Is he new to
You
this?
went way over.
All right, everybody looking here. Awesome. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Insurance 1, 2, 3.
All right.
Janine, I think you wanted to.
Yeah, I don't think I've shared this story with you very much. I have shared it with Glenn. But I take full credit for him being a member of the council staff. We had a planner leave, Alan Frankie, and we were trying to replace him, and we'd actually gone through several interviews and just couldn't find the right person. And finally, I asked Bill, or my predecessor, I said, can I look at the resumes? And he said, sure. And so he gave me this stack of resumes. It was about this thick. And I went through them, and for whatever reason, I don't know if you, I took Glenn's resume into his office. I said, this is the guy. This is who we need to talk to. And so we brought him in and interviewed him. And I think the selling point for Bill was that Glenn was able to identify Haystack Rock. Do you remember that? Which was, Bill had a picture of it in his office, so that sold him on hiring him. And it's been such a wonderful experience to work with Glenn. He's so thoughtful, and I've just appreciated every minute. So right now, I would just like to do a sort of unofficial handing off of the calendar. You know that we all live and die by that calendar, and actually already had one change tonight. So anyway, it's good to have you there.
Thank you.
So you didn't get to work with Pat, huh? Comerell?
No, I know of Pat. I know she was a planner, so that's a special place for me. So we've gone from planner to finance person to attorney to back to planner. So
Yeah.
we've gone full circle with the background. So, but yeah, I do know of her, but I haven't met her yet.
Welcome to your new position.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know. There should be more than just the handoff of the calendar. Gosh,
That's kind of like a little ceremony.
I know.
You may have it now.
But okay. All right. Well, are you going to change chairs in?
January.
Yeah, so it's effective January 3rd.
All
So
right.
technically, you still got me.
All right. Well,
So
we'll hang with you for a while.
Happy for that.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
I think it would be appropriate for Glenn to introduce his family because they're here as
Yeah,
children.
that's
and
a great
wife.
idea. Thanks.
And then for him to leave and take him to dinner.
Yeah, right. Thanks.
Unfortunately, since council meetings are essentially game day for us, I really can't go anywhere. So we'll have to do this another day with them. So I appreciate the opportunity to introduce my family because, of course, most Tuesday nights they don't see me, and they haven't for a very long time. So my wife, Shelley, we've been together for a long time. She's always been very supportive of me in this, and they find a lot of fun things to do on Tuesday nights when I'm not around. And so the days when we don't have a meeting on Tuesday night, I'm sort of this fifth wheel that is just, I don't know what to do with myself. They don't know what to do with me. So, and then my oldest son, Carson, he works for the city. He's had a fantastic experience. He's really embedded himself in Ogden, both with the Raptors, as you know. He was head bat boy for a long time, has worked for the Raptors for a long time. We've hosted baseball players because of that, Raptors players, and he's a student at Weaver State. So he's as much Ogden as I think anybody. And then my middle son, Quinn, here, and my youngest son, Lachlan. And we're just so happy to have everybody and to be a family. So again, I really appreciate the support, and I definitely couldn't do it without them.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, family.
Thank you, family.
Really fast. Like, I'm gonna cry, but thank you, Janine, for taking a chance on him. We were like 15 years ago, we were scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like, he was unhappy, I was unhappy. We were living off of getting paid once a month with 2 paychecks, being a school teacher and working for Farmington, and it just like fell out of nowhere, and it was such a blessing. So I appreciate it. And I hear all of the stories and all the great things that the city council does. And my grandma, my mom, grew up in Ogden, and there's a connection with Bart's family. But she was the payroll accountant at Wonder Bakery for years, for over 40 years. And so it's come full circle. She's no longer with us, but Ogden's a great place, and my mom's an Ogden Tiger, and it's just a great place. And I appreciate all of you guys taking a chance on this one. So thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Shelley.
Thanks. Well, I don't know if we should go on because we're going to have so much fun with the fiscal year 2025-26 budget amendment.
Bye.
Justin,
Hey, top that, Justin.
yeah, go for it.
We'll
Do
try
it.
to clap for you at the end.
I don't think.
Breaking all the protocol.
Want a picture too? I mean,
If you're taking them, I will decline. No, I appreciate the opportunity to come and present a budget opening for you before you tonight, Chair and council members. That is a tough act to follow, and I'm very excited to continue to work with Glenn and in this new capacity. And Janine, it's been great also working with you too. So from the finance perspective, I think we have a great relationship with the council office, and I really appreciate working with them. So I just wanted to let you know that. The proposal before you tonight is to adopt an ordinance which amends the Ogden City budget by increasing it by just over $2.2 million. And when we met in work session and discussed this a few weeks ago, There was some proposal made by council that we've gone ahead and I want to, we included that adjustment in this. And so I'll go through what the line item changes are in the budget opening, but just to make sure so citizens are aware of this, this budget opening doesn't have any impact to citizens at all. This is, a lot of this is cleaning up some of our old CIP projects that we still had some remaining balances on, as well as recognizing some grant funds that the city is receiving for the airport. And so to begin with, I'll in going through this, the capital improvement projects fund, the adjustments in that fund, what we're proposing is we have a couple of old trails projects that are from the early 2000s that have had a balance there for a very long time. And in working with public services, we would like to close those out and move them to projects that we are using, that we have current work going on. So we'd be reducing, one of them had a balance of 105,000 and the other one 88,000. And the proposal would be to take 93,000 of that and add it to our Centennials Trail CIP. Now, when we met in work session a few weeks ago, there was a question on, is that specific to just a certain area, or is that all trails in the city? And I just wanted to, we've made some changes over the years to that project brief to be a more citywide trail project. And just to let you know, as we go through the fiscal year 27 budget process, that we're going to change the name of that project to better reflect what that is, instead of it just being called Centennial Trails. But we also would like to propose, and funding $100,000 for trails improvements. And what this is meant to do, as part of the budget this year, we had put $30,000 aside for the, I was going to say TFNU, but I figured I better say this is the Trail Foundation of Northern Utah. And a request from council was to add some additional funds for them, as they've been able to go out and use some of the funds the city had appropriated to get some grants. And so with that request, we've adjusted this budget opening to put $100,000 aside that would allow for additional funding for the TFNU and also the Ogden Trails Network to be able to continue that collaboration with those groups. So that is included in this budget appropriation. The other items in there is we are doing some work at the Lauren Farr Pool to try to extend the life a little bit of the pool. We have a project that we've already had some funding in for the Lauren Farr swimming pool, but the fixes that we're doing right now is more than what is appropriated. And so we do have a contingency in our CIP fund that this is a great example of why we budget that. And so we're proposing to use that contingency fund and move it so that we can use it at the Lauren Farr Pool. The hope is that these improvements to putting this liner in the pool will extend the life by hopefully 10 years. So add a little more life to that city asset. And then the last one in the CIP fund is we had an old project for the High Ogden River Adventure Park Playground. We want to move those remaining funds into our general park facilities CIP. When we went through the budgeting process this year, we didn't appropriate any funds, and there's not, we do have carryover funds in our park facilities, but this will be something that will assist as they continue to have different things, need to do playgrounds or any other improvements to various parks throughout the city. So the net change in the CIP fund is zero, as all these are just moving funding between projects. In the airport fund, the items that are proposed there, first of all, we have 3 different projects that we're proposing to recognize grant funds related to. One of them is a South Apron project. We've already appropriated some grant funds. These are additional grant funds that were awarded to us. We've already got the match appropriated, so this is just recognizing the grant funds. And then same with the cargo apron. This is recognizing our entitlement funds to be able to assist with that project. And then also additional funds for the baggage carousel that we received in grant funds. Again, we have the match already in place for those 3. This is just appropriating the additional grants that were awarded. The last portion of the airport budget opening is we have 3 different projects, one related to the terminal restrooms in the basement there. And then we also had one for the terminal seating and one for some xeriscaping around the airport. In going through the process for the restrooms, we've already appropriated some funds there, but they weren't sufficient for what is needed to be able to make some improvements. As many of you probably seen what those restrooms look like. So we needed an additional $204,000. And so what the airport and administration is proposing is that we take the funding from 2 other projects and increase the funding in this project to be able to complete this project. Part of this is made due because on the terminal seating, we had originally appropriated, I want to say, close to 110,000, but we had an opportunity to purchase some of the used seating from the Salt Lake City airport at a significantly lesser price, and we were able to do a refurbishment to them, and they actually are better shape than the ones that we had at the terminal. And so we don't need the rest of that funding for those terminal seating, so we want to move that money. And then in the Xeriscape project, the plan right now is to scale back a little bit on that project, and so they could use 100,000 from that to help with the restrooms. So the net change in the airport is an increase of just over 2.2 million. And then the last thing in the golf fund, each year the city receives municipal ramp funds from the county that can go towards various projects for parks and recreation. And for a couple of years, we'd used those funds to assist with the deck that was built at El Monte and also to do some kitchen improvements at El Monte. The deck project is finished, and we had $21,000 left in that, and so we're proposing to move those funds to the kitchen portion of that's needed there to be able to do some renovations to the clubhouse kitchen at El Monte. The bids came back of what we're needing to do, and there was a delta of about 6,000. So because of how the airport's been able to operate the last couple of years, we're proposing to use some of their retained earnings to help cover that delta of 6,000. So the net change in the golf course is an increase of 6,000. So again, the total increase is just over 2.2 million. Are there any questions?
Any questions? All right, I think we're good here. Yeah.
Chair, without any questions?
No, public hearing.
Oh, public hearing, sorry.
So it's a public hearing. If there's anybody that wants to talk about any of the budget amendments, it's your time to shine. Nope. Anybody online, just hold on a second.
Oh,
Whoop.
wow.
All right, does
All
it
right,
look?
Chair, I'd make a motion we close the public hearing on this item.
We have a motion by Councilmember Ritchie, second by Councilmember Myers to close the public hearing. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
And what I'd like to do is propose that we adopt ordinance 2025-38, amending the fiscal year 25-26 budget.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Graff, second by Councilmember Blair to adopt the proposed ordinance 2025-38. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Chaburka?
Aye.
Councilmember Graff?
Aye.
Councilmember Myers?
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie?
Aye.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Vice Chair Heyer?
Aye.
Chair White?
Aye, that passes. All right.
Chair, I'd like to acknowledge the administration and thank them for their ear and their action in rearranging CIP funds for trails and parks. Since coming onto the council, that's been one of my passions, and I really appreciate the ongoing funding for our trails and parks and the health and ability of our citizens to get outdoors and breathe the air and get some exercise.
All right, thank you.
I second that.
All right, next on our agenda is the 2025 Water Conservation Plan. Brady Hurd. I think I saw, oh, yeah, I did see, oh, and Matt.
All right, good evening, council. Appreciate you giving us this opportunity to talk to you about the conservation plan. I'm Brady Hurd, the Water Utility Director for Ogden City, and with me I have Matt Hack, who's our water conservationist tonight. So with this, before you, we have for review and consideration for adoption is a joint resolution for the water conservation or updated water conservation plan. Back in the mid to late 90s, the state actually enacted a code which required water purveyors such as ourselves to put together conservation plans. And since that point in time, every 5 years, we go through this process and update that plan. So this is the updated plan as we speak. With that, this plan very closely is aligned with the regional plan from the state in that they have a goal to reach by 2065 gallons per capita of 175. Currently, as it stands as a city, we are tracking about mid 180s, 184, 186. In that area is where we're at currently for gallons per capita. With this joint resolution, it has to be approved by December 31st of this year, and so that's why we're here before you. To kind of give you a little bit of, I guess, insight over the last, I'd say, 10 years or so, as we've gone through and replaced major lines such as the 24-inch transmission line and other distribution lines throughout the city, I think it's worthwhile mentioning that we've seen over the last 10 to 15 years a reduction of about 17% in our water production to delivery, which I think is really, really good in showing that that's a good investment and return on our water and trying to conserve and get it to where it needs to go. As it currently stands, we're around 14% that's lost from production to distribution or to the meters and into the houses or to the businesses. We're hoping with the current construction of our 36-inch transmission line that'll get even better in getting those percentages even lower. The typical standard is about a 10%, 12% for most municipalities or water purveyors to kind of have about that much loss from their production to the distribution. To kind of give an oversight too of our water sources, we have our Pineview wells, which are located out on Browning Point on the north end of Pineview Reservoir. That is like the heartbeat of Ogden City. Year-round, those wells are providing water for us, and they can produce up to 14.9 million gallons a day. Our treatment plant, which is at the base of the dam, is a seasonal treatment plant, meaning we started up in the springtime as demand picks up, and we use that to augment some of the increased demand throughout the summer and then into the fall, and then we'll usually shut it down based on demands and what the customers are needing at the time. But that fluctuates. It's usually about 1st of October. And then it can produce up to about 13.5 million gallons a day. And then some of our other wells that are within the valley is Taylor Canyon Well at the top of 27th Street. It can produce up to about 1.4 million gallons a day. And then the airport well, which is out close to the airport terminal, which can produce about 2.6 million gallons a day. And then we do have one last source that we utilize, which is Weber Basin water. It's treated water from the south end of our city. That source of water is contracted water that they treat through a facility on Old Post Road. And so combined with all those sources, we have around 44 million gallons a day that we potentially can utilize within our water portfolio. With that, I think it's also important to mention that secondary irrigation, I shouldn't say a lot, about 33 to 34% of our customers or Ogden City residents have access to pressurized irrigation. And then there's about 3% of them that also have access to flood irrigating, meaning surface flood irrigating, which is about a 37% of overall customers or residents within Ogden City that have access to secondary irrigation. With that, the number I'd given earlier of the 180 gallons per capita, I think that doesn't really take into consideration some of the secondary irrigation just because they're still in the process of putting in meters. And so hopefully in the next 4 to 5 years, we're able to get better understanding of how much water is being consumed through secondary irrigation and better adjust this plan accordingly as we march forward in trying to get to that state goal of 175 it's 175 gallons per capita. With that, this plan also is very closely aligned with the Water Master Plan, which is for our capital improvement projects and our distribution lines. That is very closely matched with populations and projected growths and water uses for the next 35 to 40 years in looking at that goal of us hitting that goal in 2065. some of the things that I wanted to touch on internal conservation measures are, we've already touched on the capital improvement projects, but for sure we see that the return on investment is very substantial, and that's why we continue to want to make that a priority, and we'll make that a priority in the future as we can see the realization of those savings. Also, we proactively as a division are searching out or going out to do leak detection in an effort to catch leaks before they become too absorbent and wasting water on a regular basis, as well as we have a SCADA system, which allows us to help monitor our system, our water system as a whole. What SCADA stands for is Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. So that allows us to see real-time data so that if there's any abnormalities that we catch in the system from our tanks or through production, and we can go out and check the system to see if there's leaks or other things that are going on. So that's one of the things we're doing internally. Some others are water loss audits. So internally, we kind of go through and do like a grading on ourselves through the American Water Works Association. They have kind of a spreadsheet that you can plug in a bunch of parameters and information on. Currently, the city's sitting around 59 out of 100 on the score, and we have a goal to try and bump that up to 70 out of 100 by 2040 is one of the things we're trying to get better at. Meter modernization, so being able to have real-time or as close to real-time data as we can through our meters and our end delivery points is very vital in that it allows us to see some of those irregular behaviors that may be occurring and allow us to also engage our residents or our customer base in an effort to see if there's something out of sorts, that maybe they have a toilet that has a flapper that's sticking or a sprinkler system's ruptured or something to that effect. That allows us to see some of those irregularities. I'll touch on that also a little bit later with some of the external things that we have and engaging in doing water audits. We also have tiered water rates right now. So as more or less you have to pay as you go. And so there's different tiers that as you use more, you're going to have to pay more. And so the intent behind that would be to try and discourage higher consumption in that respect. We also closely monitor our pressure reducer valves throughout the city. We have just over 40 of those pressure reducer valves throughout our system. That allows us to keep better control of the system to minimize any type of breaks in our system so that then we don't waste any additional water or more water than we have to. We also have backflow prevention, which helps us also monitor some of the endpoints in an effort to make sure that we don't waste water on some of the sprinklers and other irrigation systems. And then we also have an ordinance that's internal. There's no watering between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. between the dates of April 15th to November 1st. That one is something that we highly encourage from year to year in an effort to just prevent water wasting. Some of the external things that we are doing is public outreach and education through the website, bill inserts, as well as going to Weber County Water Fairs, as well as over at the Weber Basin Water Conservation Gardens that they have and demonstration gardens that are over there, as well as we do Earth Day out at Nature Center. So those are some of the areas that we try to engage some of the schools as well as the public. Let's see. We also are continue to do partnerships with Weber Basin. Many of you are probably already aware with the Flip Your Strip program. That's something that we encourage in reducing water waste that's in the park strips. That's one of the major culprits. Outside use of water on a typical residential household is about 60% is used outdoors and can potentially be wasted, and then the other 40% can be used indoors, most likely in most cases. So with that, the biggest culprit outside, it would be park strips if they have park strips, and so that's why we would like to encourage that program. As it stands, the typical applicants that have come through that park strip conversion program, there are about 1,500 square feet is what we're typically seeing on average of park strips that are getting flipped, and residents can qualify up to $2.50 a square foot. Half of that comes from the city and half of it comes from Weber Basin, so $1.25 from each agency. Let's see, water audits. I touched on this a little bit earlier on the internal stuff. So Matt, who's our water conservationist, he can go out at any given time if a resident's interested and do a water audit, which allows him to go out and check some soil types as well as help calibrate sprinkler systems and help residents see different areas as to where they can best serve or conserve some of their outdoor watering behaviors and indoor watering behaviors. Along with that, we also offer a rebate kits, which is a lower flow shower head, as well as the aerating, the aerators that go on your faucets, and then leak tablets that you can put in your toilet to see if there's any leaks that occur through that. And then we also work with Utah Water Savers for smart controllers as part of these conservation packets. Residents can actually go on to utahwatersavers.com and qualify or apply to qualify for smart controllers. Smart controllers are huge in that they allow sprinkler systems to be able to monitor weather patterns and see where water can potentially be saved in an effort to not water when the soil doesn't need it and we are having weather events. And then also they can also potentially qualify for toilets in the event that they meet certain parameters. And then rain barrels, we also offer the rain harvesting program each spring. As part of that, we do a subsidized for the first 100 barrels, and we partner with Utah Rivers Council as part of doing that rain harvesting program. I believe that a subsidized barrel is about $50. I don't know exactly what that'll be this upcoming spring, but that's something we'll get out and advertise as we approach those times. And then we also have an internal program that's through the remote metering. As Matt goes out and does these water audits, he also has an internal program that he can engage each and every day, as well as engage the residents in seeing patterns and irregularities in an effort to bring to their attention those behaviors so that then they can save water as well as money and potentially not waste water. This plan also includes our water shortage management plan in the event of a drought. There's different tiers or phases of that, which we will work closely with administration to enact anything that we need to put into like resolution or have the mayor sign off on in an effort to put any enacting restrictions in place. And then just to recap for the next 5-year actions, we want to continue infrastructure renewal and leak detection, expand smart meter analytics and pressure management, strengthen public outreach and education, enforce and update landscape and irrigation ordinances, and then foster relationships and partnerships and align with Weber Basin as we continue to discuss Flip Your Strip and other programs. And then, we'll continue to look at this plan and it'll be an iterative process from year to year and trying to make it better and better as we step into the future. So with that, appreciate your time and turn the time back over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Brady. Any questions for Brady?
Brady, before you sit down, as we're doing this 36-inch water line, I mean, we had some experience with the 24 that it was just a big long soaker hose. How has the 36 proven to be? I don't know how much we've changed of that at this point, but
we'll probably see maybe into next year when we actually kind of are able to get a full year's worth of consumption. But yeah, the 24-inch, we saw about 3 million gallons a day is what we saw in savings. I don't know that we'll quite see that much, but I'm hopeful maybe we'll see up to 1 million, but it's hard to say. It's a little bit soon as of yet. but yeah, knowing what we saw in the 24, it should be substantial. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as the goal to get people down to 175, I think you said. There's a tool that I put on my house that we're not even discussing. It's just the brand name of mine. It's called Flow by Moen, but it meters every gallon that comes into my house. It figures out where the water went, whether it was the toilet, the shower, the sink, the dishwasher. It learns how to do that. And anyway, it really is informative for people to set a goal.
Mm-hmm.
How much water are you going to use in a day? And it keeps track. But we don't supplement those types of things, and I think they really do help.
Yeah, I
we
think
should consider either talking with Weber Basin about that, Utah Water Savers, or just doing it ourselves, because those kind of things really inform a consumer.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
Not to mention, if they ever get a leak, you're really thankful because it shuts the water off. It doesn't just wait for you to do it. It'll shut your water off.
That's awesome.
And save your, even insurance companies, many of them will give you a premium discount if you have one of those. So we should look into that, because if that's our goal.
Yeah, absolutely.
This thing would really help.
Yeah, I'd like to get more information from you.
Okay.
So thank you. Any others?
Any other questions for Brady? All right, this is also a public hearing, so if you have any comments, please come up and state your name, and you have 3 minutes. Yeah.
Uh-oh, what happened to the wheel?
All right. I'm Amy Wicks, and I am the Great Salt Lake Waterkeeper. I work for Utah Rivers Council too. Brady, the rain barrels were $57 with the subsidized price with the rain harvest, which they're normally $155. With this plan, 175 gallons per capita a day is far from an ambitious conservation goal. Denver currently uses 141 with a goal of 130 by 2030. Like, we need to do better. We need to do better if we want to grow. We need to do better if we want to have a viable Great Salt Lake ecosystem. We need a better tiered rate system. The base rate is so high that there's not much incentive to use less. You use less, there's really not that much difference in your water bill. And that changes behavior. So we need to adopt a better tiered rate structure that allows people who use significantly less to pay significantly less. I would also suggest smart controllers in city parks and places like Business Depot Ogden. South Ogden has done it. That way we're not watering the streets and our parks in the middle of a rainstorm. I have lots of documentation of that. If we want people to conserve water, we have to show a better example as a city. So I would just suggest that. I also would suggest looking for ways to allow more access to water-wise landscaping incentive programs. Ogden residents only have access to the Rip Your Strip program. We should look at programs that allow people to change more of their landscaping. It's expensive, but it's a good investment. Most of our water usage is outside. We have to build a lot of capacity for that water that's used in the summer during those peak times. And if we can avoid that, that lowers the cost for all of us. And it's water that could be sent to the lake, so that we don't have a desiccated Great Salt Lake that's with plumes of toxic dust that makes us no longer a community of choice. So I think water audits should also look at suggesting native and water-wise plants. Most of our water usage is outdoors. Like, inside things are great, but 95% of that water ends up staying in the system. It's some of the only water dedicated to the Great Salt Lake. So if we really want to make a difference, I would suggest not investing in things that like the shower heads and things like that. Get people to really take a serious look about their landscaping, because we really need to do better if we want to be a community of choice and have some sort of future here.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Former council member as well.
Linda Sanchez. We do have the Flip Your Strip program available, although sometimes not a lot of people know about that. So if we made that a little more available. The other thing I thought about was making my garden in my strip, so that if anybody needed any food, that could also be a good resource. Although I feel like anything that is made to be done is not necessarily good. You should make that an option. Otherwise, I feel like I'm being smothered and my freedoms are being taken away. So I just have a problem when things are regulated like that. We all want to conserve water, but I might want to conserve water in a different place than somebody else. And we might be able to get at the same goal, but just to regulate outside or inside or however anybody does that, I don't think we should necessarily regulate that. And then also, you might, if we're going to be a city that conserves, which I'm not saying that we shouldn't be, we should also take a look at our code, because I was going to take all my grass out, and apparently I can't do that. There are regulations that have to have so much of stuff, and then I got frustrated and just let the weeds grow. So we might want to just just take a look and see what our regulations right now say that we can actually have, what we have to have green, what we can have something else.
What Linda just said, it's starting to feel a little tight on the regulations. And I do think a lot of us voluntarily want to save water. But when you start telling us you have to do this, or raising our rates if we don't fit in where, different family sizes, different, households, you're going to use different amounts of water. And so I think those things needed to be taken into consideration as you do that, kind of thing. Thank you.
Madam Chair, seeing no one else come up, I move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Meyer, second by Councilmember Graff to close a public hearing. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Any comments before we move on?
Chair, I do have a few, a comment or two. When former Councilmember Wicks came up, she made a excellent point that any water that we use in the house, it actually leaves and goes out toward the sewage treatment plant, processed, and ends up in the lake eventually. Water that we use in our irrigation doesn't have that same privilege. And so if we're really trying to conserve, we really do want to conserve our outdoor uses for the purposes that she stated. To the other points that were made, though, is I don't think that's our effort, is to try to use the stick approach to this, although there is a little bit of stick in our water rates. But on the overall, the Flip Your Strip program, the turf replacement program, they're all voluntary that people have to apply for, and you'll see Matt show up to your house and he'll see how well that's going to work for you. You can apply for it that way. But the smart controllers are excellent. I did a little experiment this past summer. I went and bought a rain barrel. I put a sight glass on, or a sight tube on the side of it, just to see the water amounts that it would collect. And also kept track of my smart sprinkler controller. And so we had 6 measurable water events through the summer at my house, and I save 46 gallons every time the water event happens. That's how much that 50-gallon barrel actually holds before it goes over the edge. On every one of those water events, my sprinkler controller didn't water my lawn. So it was a lot more than 46 gallons of water that was saved. So if you're gonna spend some money on something, may I suggest that the smart sprinkler controller is maybe a better bang for your buck than a water barrel. The water barrels, I mean, they serve their own purpose. I'm not trying to tell you don't do it, but just understand that you're gonna have more savings if you go to a smart controller or something like that. So, but I do think where we live in the second driest state in the nation, that we ought to be smart about this. We need to be conscious about the water that we use. It just makes sense. So that's all I have to say about that.
Great.
So not only are we the second driest state in the union, we use more water per capita than any other state. Amy might be able to correct me on this, but I think it's more water per person in the household. We're not measuring the household and setting goals for the household, because household sizes do vary. It's per capita consumption of water, and I think we're consuming over 180 gallons per person in this state right now. And you heard what Denver is doing, and they're also a very dry climate on that side of the Rockies. So we've got some room for improvement, and if others can do it and are leading the way, I think we've got something to learn from them without really feeling constrained by regulation.
I agree with both my colleagues here, and I agree with Amy that we should go a little bit farther if and when we can. And I do think I totally understand the idea of feeling like you don't want to be told what to do, and that feels constraining, but we may come to a situation where there's just no water left. So I think that's a balance that the community members just have to think about. Is it may not seem like it's a crisis now, but it is already a crisis, and also that it could get much, much worse. And so I think it's important to remember that, because we've already got really negative consequences coming from the deterioration of the lake, and it could only get worse, and then none of us would be living here anymore. So that's the way I look at it.
Chair, just a little note here. I looked at this flow by Moen readout that I got, and my wife and I, which is my family, that's who lives at my house, we have used 48 gallons of water so far today. 27.5 gallons of it was shower, 13.5 was toilet, and 10.5 was appliance. So the thing knows what you're doing, so you can adapt your usage as it works for you. Just a neat thing.
Good to know you showered today.
It is good to know. We've used 309 gallons so far this month.
TMI.
So.
No, just kidding. All right, any other comments?
Chair, I'd make a motion then that we adopt ordinance 2025-6.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Heyer, second by Councilmember Chaburka to adopt proposed joint resolution 2025-6, adopting the updated 2025 water conservation plan. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Graff?
Aye.
Councilmember Myers?
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie?
Aye.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Councilmember Chaburka?
Aye.
Vice Chair Heyer?
Aye.
Chair White?
Aye, that passes. And I just want to comment, I do think that we, a goal of only dropping by 10 gallons per capita in 2065 seems like setting the bar too low, so. I think we could do better. All right, next on our agenda is reports from the Planning Commission. We have a proposed rezone at 1172 Porter Avenue.
Good evening, Chair White and City Councilors. This is a request for a zone change. It's for a piece of property that's on the north side of 12th Street. It's between Porter Avenue and Jefferson Avenue. And the property owner owns the two properties that abut 12th Street, which is currently zoned R2 and in the 12th Street overlay. The property owners acquired the next tier of lots, and those are currently zoned R16, and so he's requesting that those be rezoned to R2 in the 12th Street overlay. As we've gone through this process, we've encouraged the applicant to make these owner-occupied, so there's greater opportunities for people to own a home in Ogden, and he's agreed with that. And so not only will the properties that he's acquired to the north have this overlay that requires the owner occupancy, but it's also the existing lots that front 12th Street. So that's the request. This is a concept plan. This isn't what it's going to look like at the end, but this is just an idea of what it could look like and this would generally meet the 12th Street overlay standards with townhomes fronting 12th Street and a second tier of townhomes in the back. So the conditional overlay would specify that the homes must be owner occupied for a continuous period of no less than 10 years. So this doesn't mean one family has to live there 10 years. You could sell it to somebody else. But it would consist of townhomes and follow the 12th Street overlay design guidelines, reflect the characteristics of surrounding homes, maximum building heights, and landscaping meeting code. In looking at the Hillcrest Bonneville Community Plan, one of the policies is when and where possible, consolidate the small lots along the major corridors. As large tracts are created, consider the development of quality multifamily units as the area's population needs and densities increase. So this is exactly what's happened. He's acquired additional properties and has consolidated them, and is proposing that they be rezoned to do this townhome project. There are other factors for consideration, and I won't go through all of them, but some of them are to provide a definite edge to the development and buffering between types of uses, and this particular proposal meets that well. It's bounded by streets on 3 sides, and on the 3rd side about the rest of the residential neighborhood, and kind of layout they have has a good buffer between those uses. Another criterion is to reflect the prevailing character of the overall area. And there's a mix of development. There's a lot of single family development in the area, but there's also along 12th Street another number of multifamily and townhome projects that are similar in scale to what's being proposed. There's also a number of office type uses. One of the criteria is that you have a transition between commercial to apartments to single family, and this would provide a transition from the multifamily and townhomes to single family development. So just to give you an update on where we are in the process. So this is really the first process to doing on the development. It's the zone change that went to the Planning Commission, and it's before you tonight to adopt. If you adopt it, then the applicant would need to do a site plan review, which would review the site layout, the building elevations, and that would likely require a Planning Commission review. And there's also a subdivision that would be required, which would go to the Planning Commission and the mayor for final action on that, and then jump to building permits. So tonight we're just looking at the zone change, but I know there were some questions about looking forward in the site plan and the subdivision review, some things that could be looked at that point. One was parking. Question is, would they be required to do visitor parking? The current code requires that you have 2 garage parking spaces per unit. So you can do additional visitor parking, but you're not required to. We are doing the code update, and this is one thing that we flagged that so we should require some visitor parking in multifamily projects. But we'll note that this is laid out really well because you're bounded on 3 sides by streets, and so there's actually a lot of opportunity for visitors to park on the street adjacent to this property. We also talked in the work session about a traffic study. So since then, we've done some more research on this. I talked with our traffic engineer, and because 12th Street's a state highway, if they do access directly off 12th Street, they will be required to do a traffic study. If they just access off the side streets, they likely would not be required to do a traffic study for UDOT. The city can require a traffic study, and in fact, we do require it unless it's waived by the traffic engineer. So I did talk with the traffic engineer, and we looked at what a traffic study would yield. And it would look at traffic volumes like on 12th Street, and it would increase the traffic by about 0.5% on there. So really just a drop in the bucket there. If they use Porter and Jefferson, really looking at it, Porter and Jefferson are set up about as best as they could get on there. You have the 2-way left turn lane in 12th Street. So the most difficult movement is the one that I've highlighted here. If you're during rush hour and you're trying to make a left turn out of Porter or Jefferson onto 12th Street, you're gonna have to wait for a break in the traffic. But 12th Street has this 2-way left turn lane, so you can do a 2-stage left turn. You can turn into the center and then get into 12th Street. And really, a traffic study is not going to recommend anything else. It's not going to be, you're not going to put a stop sign there. You're not going to put a traffic signal there. So again, in talking with the traffic engineer, we probably would not require a traffic study because we don't really see that it's going to generate any recommendations for changes. So this has gone to the Planning Commission, and they're recommending that you approve the rezone to the R2, that you approve the conditional overlay along all the properties, and that you approve the development agreement. That concludes my report.
All right, thanks. Are there any questions for Barton? So there's already a building there. Would that be torn down then?
Yes, that's at least in the concept plan, yes.
And it looks like there's two
obsolete approaches.
Yeah,
yes,
coming in and out of 12th Street. So
yes, those would also be removed and with it.
Okay. Okay. I would think that if they aren't, UDOT would require a traffic study done there.
Yes, if they take access onto 12th Street, they would definitely require.
All right, any other questions? And then with this, I know that was concept plan, but I mean, that was just concept, right? That wasn't setbacks, there weren't any considerations for that, or is that the amount that could go on there?
They could probably put more if they rearranged it differently, so it might be possible to get more units depending on the size and scale of the units.
Okay. Just based on feedback from constituents in that area, I think that going forward that there should probably be a traffic study done just in general in that area, so.
Yeah, I appreciate the follow-up and the discussion on that as well, because that's definitely in that neighborhood top of mind for a lot of those people that live there. And I recognize that this particular development wouldn't really increase a significant amount on that, and it's not so much Porter and Jefferson, but if you head further west and go on to Adams, that particular corner is just really problematic, and especially if you have semis coming in with a big load and affecting those neighbors. So that would be my recommendation. I don't know how that, I think as we're talking about something in this area, if there's any way to shine some light on that and maybe look at some ways to mitigate that traffic or improve the flows, I think that's that's a tough one. I'll see people trying to turn east on 12th Street from that Adams, and they'll sit there forever, and then there's just this little tiny gap, and they'll shoot it because they're tired of waiting, and they're gonna get out there, and it's not as safe. And so I don't know if we have any recent accidents or anything along those lines, but I wouldn't be surprised if we did, just based on what I observed people doing there. So
That seems kind of a heavy burden to require the developer to pay for, though. And
I
so-
agree. It's not necessarily, and I just think, just simply because we're looking at the area, I just feel like that's,
Right.
Maybe a nod to the administration on some not holding this up as hostage on that in any way. I'm just saying it's just a problem in that area.
I agree. I was going to say, like, I think it's like part of the problem too is just these gigantic parking lots right there too, that like people are going through, and then I don't know if those could be reconfigured in some way with the Ocean Mart and the fitness center. Yeah, it's just a very complicated area when you're over there driving around, and then you're trying to figure out, okay, which way is the best way to get out, to go which direction, and then you drive kind of through the parking lot figuring that out. So it seems like there could be a better solution. Yeah, it could be a better solution.
And I certainly like the fact that they're going to be a for sale product, so that's, so thank you.
Chair?
Yeah.
I'd just like
Sorry.
to commend the petitioner and developer. I think this is an awesome project. I think it's good for that neighborhood. It's good for our city, so thank you very much. Well done.
All right, thanks. Any other questions for Barton? Yeah, thank you. All right, this is an opportunity to receive some input on this. Anybody has?
Laura Lewis, Ogden City resident. I just have one question that kind of covers all these new developments. It seems like there's a trend that you guys are only requiring these to be owner occupied for 10 years. And so I'm wondering why that's a magical number, that the housing shortage is going to disappear in 10 years, because it seems to me it would follow that 10 years from now, we're going to want even more homes that are available for purchase, not opening them up for non-resident owners.
All right, good question.
Yeah, it seems to be popping up on all these new developments.
Linda Sanchez. When we're doing all these new developments, now that we're talking about water, it just makes me concerned because you're asking me to regulate mine and build more. So what are we doing to implement things that the developers are going to have to do so that it's already installed for if a lot of townhouses, if we make them do outside landscapes that are going to need water, sometimes our regulations need to change with that. So if we kind of get on the front hill slide of that, we might be able to take away some of that and actually it be a win-win. So if you guys could just think about when we're approving new development, let's get on the forefront of that, because more development is just taking away water when you're asking everyone else to conserve. Thank you.
And just in response to that, Linda, we did pass an ordinance.
Just let's wait till.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's just make sure
Sorry.
there's no one else, and then we'll answer those questions. All right.
All right, sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
I'm anxious tonight.
I know,
guess.
that's, yeah.
So we did pass an ordinance recently that does set about water conservation standards in new construction in the city, so that no more than 35% of the front and side yards can be sod, bluegrass, and the rest of it has to be water-wise landscaping. And we're looking to do more, and with Brady's presentation tonight, we fall into line with what the state is requiring, and there's even more that we can do, and we're considering visiting around that to coincide with Weber Basin's conservation guidelines and their rebates as well.
Can I address the 10-year thing?
Yeah, I just want to just real quick follow up. In addition, when we have, I'm not going to say density, I'm going to say intensity. When we put houses more intense together, it actually saves water than if we would spread them out. So that's another good reason.
So the R2S zone, which is something that we, historically haven't had, this is kind of a new thing, which does require the owner to be the occupant for 10 years. What that does is that keeps some of these people with lots of money, these development people that come in and buy all of the properties and then just rent them out. They're all individually platted, and so they all start out individually owned. The owner lives in the property, and it's assumed that after they want to move, they'll sell their property to somebody new, and so they don't get accumulated by these organizations that just want to turn everything into a rental, and so we think that's going to help long term.
Not if they can, after 10 years, a developer or a investor can buy it.
They could, and they absolutely could.
It should be,
But they can buy your house too, or mine, but I'm probably not going to sell to one of those guys. That's the thought. I think there's probably still, we're going to have to kind of wait and see. But I think that's what the law lets us do at this point, and we're happy to try this because this is certainly better than what we had before.
why not 20?
I think
That's a good question, and I don't know the answer.
That's my point.
Yeah.
All right, enough back and forth.
Okay.
Sorry. I think one of the things that we have to remember is that there are property rights issues as well. And so we have to also be very cognizant of what the property owner is able to do as well. So.
Chair, could I clarify something Councilmember Heyer just mentioned? So the R2S zone does not technically, excuse me, require ownership. We're actually not allowed by law to legislate ownership. The zone does require individual platting, which does lend itself toward individual ownership or can facilitate it. The 10-year ownership, correct me if I'm wrong, comes from a voluntary commitment on the behalf of on the side of the developer who committed to do that in a voluntary way in a development agreement. So it's a way for them to commit to the ownership. And like Councilmember Heyer said, it really does help when you build a bunch of homes at one time, or a handful in this case, that they are all in individual ownership at the front end so that they're not all purchased in mass by what are often out-of-state corporate ownership and then put into rental. So the 10-year mark there is not a standard in the market. 10 years does seem to be pretty common. 15's the most I think I can recall. Some are less, but it's the voluntary commitment on behalf of the developer to help us achieve our housing goals in hopes of getting a more favorable outcome in the rezone request, I believe.
Thanks. All right. No more input?
If there's not any other discussion on this, I'll go ahead and make that motion then that we adopt proposed ordinance 2025-39.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Ritchie, second by Councilmember Myers to adopt proposed ordinance 2025-39. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Myers?
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie?
Aye.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Councilmember Traburka?
Aye.
Councilmember Graff?
Aye.
Vice Chair Heyer?
Aye.
Chair White?
Aye, that passes. Sorry, I'm looking for the petitioner. Are they here? All right, just wanted to make sure I didn't miss that. All right, next on our agenda is proposed rezone of 2011 Patterson Street.
Chair Worrell, Joe's coming up, but we've had a lot of citizen input on this item, and some questions that have been asked, and there's been a lot of answers, but there's still a lot of remaining questions. And one of our council members elect is also a resident of this area. Pardon?
I think we want to get the presentation.
I know, but I'm gonna lay a foundation for this. So therefore, it will be my intention to table this, but we do want to make sure that anybody that has come to speak to this, here's the presentation and does that. But I think that might change what people might want to do. That's why I thought I'd bring it up first. So, thanks, Joe.
All right. Well, at least I know where I stand. Thank you. Chair, members of the council, it is really good to be with you tonight on this project. And it has not been taken lightly. It's a project that has milled through staff and working with the Ogden Housing Authority, which we do have city staff that set on that as well, and being strategic with this project and as far as having a good outcome. And so let's get into it, so to speak. So the petition we have is to go from a rezone from one type of multifamily, an R4 zoning, to an R5. Well, why is that? To get some more units is really what it's boiling down to. So what we have is a single solid parcel of land zoned R4. And this multifamily zone is abutting our regional, our most intensive commercial zone, a C3 zone to the south. The property to the adjacent south was recently developed a few years ago by the Housing Authority, Ogden Housing Authority. This was prior to the code changes that restricted multifamily development in the commercial zones. And this property is really meant to be a little sister, I guess, to that project, though they're in different zones. The R4 would still allow for multifamily. The property is located within the Jefferson community and is just over a half acre. It's a vacant lot, and the proposal is to go to 25 units of one-bedroom apartments. So this would be a multifamily in a multifamily zone. The current property, the Housing Authority did have a conditional use application go through this last year for an apartment building. However, it was difficult to make it work with the size of land and determined that additional units needed to be added to make it a feasible project. And so that's where the Housing Authority had reached out with staff, and we looked at options and what may be feasible. And so here we are with the rezone request. It's showing it's all one parcel of land, so there's no subdivision or parcel combinations or line adjustments that would need to be done. This aerial here kind of shows the lay of the land, and we can see this larger apartment building that was built to the south. This is a low-income housing apartment that was built to the adjacent south. It is for long-term residents. It's not a short-term or treatment facility in any way. And this is the project that kind of shows the layout and the design that would be presented. And it should be noted that the conditional use that was looked at last year had a similar design and footprint, just gone a little taller with this one, and slightly modified to get the additional units. The parking is proposed to be in the back and onto the east side. The plans are showing, all the site requirements as far as setbacks, buffering, and screening. A lot of this we really dredged through in the conditional use permit process. Important note, separating the big sister apartment to the south from this property is a private abutters alley. And so this will be maintaining that Butters Alley and keeping it open, but using it for access with the site, which is really good use of the land there. Shows upper levels. And I think just to point out, you know, these are not a max, these are not anything beyond what a multifamily development would put in place. So this is proposed to be for primary residence, and each unit having its own facilities and be able to function on its own independently. This from the big sister, just kind of showing everything is predominantly brick, has a brick first level, some stucco is the secondary material on the upper levels, lots of projections and relief in the building design as well. The traditional base body cap. These are all words that planners love to hear. So, and you don't, I know. So again, just to emphasize, this map shows some of our social service, group home type developments. This project would technically not fall into that category in that it is for a long-term housing. And the intent behind it is to have no treatment, no quick turnover transition, but there would be some minimal programming with the project where it's intended to be for adults just aging out of foster care, and where they would be able to have some housing support to live and learn, make sure they get skills to get on their own 2 feet. And that would be the programming we would see, is really just making sure jobs are being acquired, education is being acquired. There's finding that there's quite a gap with the foster care system. Many, when they get 18, they're just kicked out and they're on their own. A lot of them will end up going homeless or having other issues in life without a family support. And so this fills that goal, and then also is able to function with the larger 56 unit property to the south, where bigger place could be acquired and step their way through life. So that is the intent.
For just a second.
Yeah.
We don't have that map in our
It is.
material.
Oh, in the what?
In the bigger packet.
Oh.
It's not in the packet for me. The one prior, I don't have that one. If you could make sure that we have it so we can actually read it.
Yeah,
see it, 'cause that's not
absolutely.
readable. Yeah.
Yeah, we had sent this information, I know, to council staff.
I've got this one. I don't have the one prior.
This one prior? Okay, I apologize. I'll make sure you get
Yeah,
that.
that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, so this one's just showing where the low to moderate income housing, or low income housing, I should say, is being located. And it does have the one adjacent to it. Again, looking at trying to be strategic with the placement of that. And I know we have quite a bit, and so this is a very hot topic. I'm aware of that. But you know, with the partnership with the city and Ogden Housing Authority, the careful consideration having with the adjacent property to the south, we really feel is something that can make work. This is what we looked at when we did the conditional use last year with the Planning Commission. The rezone, again, is just to be able to get the funding to work for the project. I'm going to the R5, so let's get into what the nitty gritty is and the findings for rezoning, whether this is appropriate or not. And so, as mentioned, this is in the Jefferson community. It does talk about the multifamily areas and making sure we have designs that are in context and sensitive to the design in the residential neighborhood. We feel this is, you know, this will be a sister building to the existing building to the south. It does have design where it's oriented towards the street, entrances all lots of things planners talk about, having the connectivity, having landscaping, open space, amenities on the site. So we feel it's definitely meeting that. The other is there's several factors for consideration in the general plan policies when considering a zone. And so I won't go into all, but there's a couple you should look at. The first is to look at what is the character of the area, what's surrounding the property. And so we've talked about the larger apartment to the south, but there is quite a mix of commercial and multifamily, twin homes in the area, and single family as well. And so we want to make sure we have a zoning. We're not going too drastically different from the zoning it has, going from a multifamily R4 to a multifamily R5 zoning. The other is looking at transitioning. Our code, the plan talks about, having transitions between commercial and residential uses, multifamily, creating buffering transition through to single family. This is really going from one type of multifamily to a more intensive multifamily, which is, again, adjacent to our most intensive commercial zoning of a C3 zone. And so this would fit with that criteria of transition from C3 to R5 and R4. Additionally, when we look at creating the zone boundaries, we look at having streets that make sensible lines. This is being on a corner, on an intersection, creates that definite line, so there isn't going to be any isolation or islands created with the adjoining properties. So with that and those considerations, the Plan Commission has recommended that we approve the rezoning from R4 to R5.
Great. Any questions for Joe?
Chair, I do have a couple questions. One is, my understanding was it went up to 25 because of the financing for the project.
Mm-hmm.
So how tall was the 12 unit?
They've added one additional level to
Just
it.
one
Mhm.
level?
I can go back and show it. So yeah, the 3 to 4. And it has been slightly reconfigured as well, but
And how tall is the solace? I can't remember. Is it 4?
it's 4, so it'd be similar.
So you were saying that the solace was built before we changed the zoning. So today, solace would not be able to build there.
Yeah, that's correct, because it's in a commercial zone and we don't allow multifamily in commercial zones. It'd have to be senior housing or, a large property of mixed use.
Just one more question. Is the transit just there, like going up to Washington Boulevard, or do you know where the transit stops are around that?
I know there are a few, and I know there are some.
I don't think it's on that main street. Yeah, I don't think it's 31st. So you'd have to go to Washington or Wall probably to access transit.
Oh, the bus lines.
Bus, yeah.
Yeah,
Which
gotcha.
is something that we look for when we're building multifamily housing, right?
Yes,
To make sure that
absolutely.
there's access to transportation.
One thing too is I know that the Grant Avenue, there's plans as well to expand those bicycle lanes down Grant. That's the plan, is to have that to be a main pedestrian thoroughfare connecting to get to Marshall White Center, and this is just a block, to the south of that.
And that
or
might
a
be
couple
something
blocks
to
the
look
south.
at in the next presentation after we table it, because I think that would be especially important to this population. Because although there's parking, we know that they may not necessarily have vehicles, and just kind of thinking about the amenities that might be around there. Is there grocery stores? Is there things that they can access without vehicles too? Would be important, which is what we've talked about in other neighborhoods.
Yep. No, I know there is some commercial. It's definitely a mix of uses through that area. And again, this just even if they were to stay R4, the parking for a low-income housing per our code is 1 stall per unit. And so they were meeting it before and they're meeting it now.
Oh, yeah, and I'm not concerned. I'm just thinking that this population may not have vehicles. So I'm less
Absolutely.
worried about the parking and more worried about how are they going
Sure.
to access amenities in the city.
Sure.
Any other questions? Seems like it could be a shared parking situation as well.
Yeah, there definitely the intent is that both sites would function together as well. And there's quite a bit of street parking as well that's available around the site. Yeah.
Have you been on that street lately?
They're little streets
Yeah.
that you can't turn a hand cart around in some of those.
Oh, you're talking. Yeah, I know where you're talking. Okay. Yes.
Sorry,
I was thinking of Grant 31st. Anyways.
Any other questions? All right. Well, I think one of the things that's really important here is, not important, but I think Vice Chair Heyer said this earlier, is that we have an incoming council member that doesn't live far from this area and has already started to engage the neighborhood. And I think it would be an excellent opportunity for her to be able to continue to engage. And this is it's tabling. It isn't, I don't think, because I don't know. I think it's just important to have the new council member be able to weigh in on this. She, by the way, she already has with quite a few emails to us, so I don't want to say that she is not engaged with this project at all.
Yeah, I just agreed that I think it would be nice to have her be speaking more in her official capacity in this topic versus kind of behind the scenes. I appreciate that. Because I guess I should say, as the current representative of that area, I'm inclined not to support this effort for various reasons I've already mentioned. So I would like her to be able to weigh in. She might feel differently after she talks to the community. That's what she's indicated to me, is that if she thinks it's good for the community, then she certainly will support it, but she wants to engage with the people that live around there.
Do you want to see if anybody has come to give input on this?
Oh, yeah.
Before we do
Sorry. Thank you. Well, if we're going to table it first.
No, I was going to wait till after you call for input.
All right. Is there anybody here that would like to give input to this project?
Laura Lewis, I have a question. I'm confused about where we ended up with the parking, whether that was an issue or a non-issue, because it's my understanding about this project that residents will be able to stay there indefinitely. So they may not have a car when they move in, but over the time of residency, they could all acquire a car. So that would be what, 25 cars or 35 cars that would need parking. So I would just like to know if I keep that in mind, I guess, when you take into consideration for the parking. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Since I'm here, I'll say something. Amy Wicks, Ogden resident. I worked in child advocacy, child welfare for 25 years. I know a lot about the challenges kids aging out of foster care face. It means they leave the system when they turn 18, rarely 21, depending on the situation, without achieving permanency, meaning they're not adopted, they're not reunified with their families. They often have nobody. And I was involved with trying to find housing for young people aging out of foster care when I worked for Utah Foster Care for 12 years. And they lose state support for some of their housing, finances, medical care. They fall off this support cliff when they turn 18 or 21, and they have a high risk for homelessness, poverty, incarceration. They're often victims of human trafficking. I mean, just a whole host of horrible things happen. And we just really don't do enough to help young people aging out of foster care. And that number's about 200 kids in Utah every year. So, 20% of them face homelessness shortly after leaving foster care. Many of them struggle to finish high school. less than 3% graduate college. There's programs for that to help, but I just would encourage the council to look for ways to make this work. Like has been said, a lot of them do rely on public transit because they don't have cars. They didn't have a parent to teach them how to drive. They don't have somebody to help them finance a car and all of that. But eventually, maybe they will get one. So I think you need to figure out the parking situation. But it's just something that's really desperately needed. And if we could find a way to make it work in a community that has access to public transportation and is close to downtown and services they may need with a connection to OTEC or Weber State, I think it would be a great way to take care of some of the most vulnerable members of our community. So,
great, thanks. Linda Sanchez, I don't know how we can't really be for this because they have nothing. I mean, I can see that most of us would worry about how we're going to get around like a car or something, but they're looking at where they're going to live. Sometimes they wouldn't care how far they had to walk to do what they had to do, but where if they have somewhere to lay down and to have something for themselves, I think we should give them that one little bit of stability that they can build upon. Thank you. Thanks, Linda.
Thordorush, District 4. I don't live in this area, so I might have a completely different opinion if I did. Hence why I also want to thank you personally for thinking about this and like the transit, because these people are gonna have to walk places, and that's a really important consideration. But beyond all that, like, yeah, when you're leaving foster care, you have nothing. And if like this is a concern of like having people who engage criminality in the neighborhood, this is like solving that problem before it occurs, because if you don't provide these supports, they are going to be homeless. And then this is Ogden Housing Authority, so they're helping people in Ogden already. So it's either going to be Ogden people having a house in Ogden or a home apartment in Ogden, or there's going to be people homeless in Ogden. And then that's when you're going to have shelters, and then shelters, that's going to be massive criminality. So as much as I am like sympathetic to the people in that neighborhood who are going to have to deal with like 24 more people who perhaps might engage in criminality, it's going to be definitely 24 more people engage in criminality if it doesn't get built. And it's like, it's a basic case of empathy. Ogden people need to have a place to live, and that is the core, that's how we should be in Ogden.
Thanks, Thor.
Good evening. Tim Price with the Ogden Housing Authority. We're the petitioner for this rezone. I was hoping it would go as easy as the last petition for the rezone, but it didn't obviously go that way. But I really appreciate the comments that were just shared from the last three that stood up. This type of project is very important for our community. We have an opportunity to help our youth that are aging out of foster care, or any homeless youth for that matter. The project would be permanent housing. It's not transitional, it's permanent. So it's a place that they can call home. So there's that security, the opportunity for them to thrive after that. Think about if you didn't have a home or a place to lay your head at night. It'd be difficult. As a father, I'm grateful to have a home to support my family. That's so important to have. The housing is coupled with supportive services. I believe this is what Joe meant when he said minimal programming, but it has supportive services that focus on health, stability, independent living, access to health care, employment help, educational opportunities, financial literacy and life skills, and the end goal, hopefully, to get them to be self-sufficient. So this is a really good opportunity to give our young people a hand up in life and to support them. And as the last comment that was made, maybe hopefully avoid homelessness in the future. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any related to this project.
Any questions for Mr. Price?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming. I was actually going to suggest if someone from the Ogden Housing Authority were here to come and talk to the program. I think maybe just if you could talk to, the goal is to get them, transit or not, moving on into something beyond this, correct? And I know that the one line that sort of troubled me a little bit was that there was no limitation to how long somebody could be in the area or in the apartment. But I mean, what is the goal, and what do you foresee in that?
Yeah, you're correct. There's no tenancy like expiration date on it. They can live there as long as they want to. But the goal is to get them self-sufficient, is to connect them with services to help them, if it's schooling or job or anything that they need just to function in life. Hopefully we can connect them with those services, and then hopefully they'll take that next step and move on. So.
And then is there anything being done citywide, countywide to this particular population right now, for this population?
Not that I'm aware of, other than Youth Futures does a good job on taking care of some of the youth that are homeless. I did reach out to DCFS, and they indicated that last year there was 35 that aged out of foster care. Many of those became homeless. I know the point in time count in 2024, there was 26 youth that were homeless, and in 2025 there were 21. So there is definitely a need for it. But
what type of housing or what type of support do you offer to those who you're housing that come from the Ogden Housing Authority? Do you have professionals on staff that will be working with these youth?
We call them case managers. So at the Solace Apartments, the big sister property that Joe mentioned, we have case managers there. We have 3, and they work with the clients. They try to meet with them as often as they'll meet with them to connect them with services and hopefully find out what the needs are and help them meet goals.
I just have a quick question. I'm not sure people understood me correctly. I think that if you know me at all, you know I'm very familiar with this population and with the concerns that have been raised. My concern is about the location. So do you have any other properties in Ogden City that could be potential for this site?
We don't. I wish we did. Possibly to find property in Ogden's kind of tough.
Yep.
And if you did find it, it's probably really expensive, so it would be hard to even probably make it feasible. This property we own through our nonprofit, so we don't have any debt on it or anything like that. And it just seems to be a perfect spot where it's next to the Solace Apartments. There's some efficiencies there where we can manage both projects in a close proximity.
Yeah, and again, I said this to the council when you weren't in attendance last week. This council and administration have been against concentrating property in certain areas. So my concern is about why is this neighborhood okay for this concentration and other neighborhoods are not. And looking at the heat map of where Ogden Housing Authority has property, it's primarily on this side of Harrison Boulevard. So the city is pretty big. We have a lot of land in other places. It's not always available, but that's my concern is that, even with the 12, if it's, if we're talking about transitioning from those single family homes, which are primarily single level, the 2 levels to me makes more sense than the 3 or 4, but I understand that that's about financing. So, I'm just working through these issues. And again, I won't be here to make the decision. But I think these are important questions to answer when we have these conversations in certain neighborhoods, but then in other ones it's okay. So I want to know why it's okay in this neighborhood.
I have a couple of questions too, just for clarification. We've spoken in terms of these being youth that are aging out of the foster care system. And if you're in foster care, you're in the care of a home that is being supported by the state to provide resources for a young person. Is that right?
That's my understanding. I'm not as familiar with the foster care system.
Okay, and then you've also spoken about teens coming out of homelessness that would populate this. So is this a facility for teens moving out of a home where some care and a roof has been given, or is this taking teens off the street that are currently defined as homeless? And then just to follow up, Thor talked about these are Ogden kids living in a foster care situation. Are we choosing individuals from within Ogden city limits to reside in an Ogden Housing Authority facility, or is this something that's open to a wider radius of individuals?
My assumption is most of them would come from the Ogden City area, based on the numbers that the DCFS provided us. And what was your first question?
It was about, are they coming from a home or are they coming off the street?
I think they could come from both. We're focused on aging out of foster care, so coming from a home, but obviously if there's a youth facing homelessness, we want to be able to serve them as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, other questions?
I just want to appreciate this clarity. I think as people have the opportunity to review the meeting, they'll have a better understanding of what's being proposed here. I did have a conversation with somebody, and they just thought it was apartments, and so just telling them what's being proposed and how it may be a little bit different, I think that's helpful in the broader scope of the conversation. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's okay if I
Joe's
maybe
got a-
answer a couple of
Yeah,
questions.
I was going to
just-
say, I think we've got a couple of questions we need to answer.
Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Just in regards with the parking, so that was a question, is there enough parking? So they would be meeting the on-site parking requirement. The other thing that I didn't hit on, I'm kicking myself, is where these are one-bedroom apartments. And so our code also looks at that as well with the parking, and you usually only need one stall per unit. So they should be sufficient as far as parking. Just to point out, there is bus stops within 2 blocks. We do have a grocery store within 2 blocks, and then there is park as well within 3 blocks of the site. So just want to give you that information.
Thanks, Joe.
Yep.
It'd be great, Joe, to know which bus that is and how it connects with the whole system, because I know that Jefferson Park neighborhood was disappointed in where the OGX lands compared to their bus line, so how many transfers you need to make to get to that main line would be great, too.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we close the public comment period.
That doesn't
We don't
need a
have to,
motion.
You don't need a
yep,
motion?
Thank you.
Okay. I have a comment then, Chair.
Yeah.
I think this is a good project. I think it merits us not tabling this. I'm in favor of moving forward with it, and unless there's not any further discussion, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the proposed ordinance 25-40, the rezoning on 211 Patterson.
We have a proposed, we have a proposal to adopt proposed ordinance 2025-40 by Councilmember Myers. Is there a second?
I would say I feel good about the project as well, but for the reasons stated before, I think it's worthwhile to have the new council members weigh in on it too.
Fails for lack of second.
All right, so that motion fails just because there is not a second. Any other conversations?
Chair, I would make a motion then that we, good try though, Councilmember Myers. I want to say also that I don't have any real consternation about this project personally. My daughter was a foster care giver for nearly foster kids, and she had some of the older ones that do kind of age out. And so I get that there's a reason for this kind of a system. But, you know, in the larger scheme, I think this is worth a table to get that council member that will represent that community on to work on this. So I would make a motion that we propose proposed ordinance 2025-40 to January 20th.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Heyer, second by Councilmember Chaburka, to table this proposed ordinance to January 20th, 2026. This is a voice vote. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay. And I'm going to keep swinging.
Awesome. Great.
I'm not deterred.
Good, good. All right.
Chair White, would you mind if I provide some context and comment before our guests leave, if it's okay? I would normally save these comments to the end when I have that opportunity, so thank you for that. I just wanted to say that the reason that I support this project when I was asked, and to get to some of Councilmember Chaburka's questions, we do push back on the concentration of poverty. It is my understanding that this census tract has less concentration of poverty than the one where the Aspen House was proposed. But that said, the thing that concentrates poverty the fastest and the most is when you double concentrate and double focus with two housing authorities in the same city and in the same areas. And so that was a big reason for the opposition on the Aspen House for us. And that's a big reason why we support this project in its location, is because we have an Ogden Housing Authority on site. And there is actually already a project there, as we've talked about, the mothership or whatever you called it. One of the things that makes me a lot more comfortable supporting the project and proposing its passage is that there's a track record that we can lean on, and it's quantifiable. The Ogden Housing Authority does a really good job managing projects, but also what it means by managing projects is that they also provide support on site, and we have proof of that. Some of the concerns of impacts on the neighborhood and concerns around crime can actually be kind of sussed out a little bit for this proposal, given the experience and circumstances of the neighboring property. And I have asked our chief, and we can share more information. I just asked him this afternoon for it, so this is pretty preliminary, but since you guys tabled it, we can share more detail later. This has quite a low call volume for the size of the property for the Solace itself, which has more than twice the number of units than what's being proposed. Those are probably more challenging circumstances because of the way they enter into the housing project as well, versus these, which are not all, should not all be assumed that they're coming from poverty, as Councilmember Heyer mentioned as well. I think there's a higher likelihood of success for these young adults. But also I was just in fact, Chief Slater's here today with me. I was at Youth Futures last week with my fire chief and police command staff. And one of the things that came out of that meeting is that certainly the need for more housing, specifically for this age group, but also that 25% of the clients that come into Youth Futures for service are coming from Davis County. And there are others seeking service from the north as well, including Cache and Box Elder. And so we are absolutely concentrating the providing of those services, hence our desire and some recent ideas and hopefully near future proposals on how we can support Weber Housing Authority on helping in this way outside of just Ogden. There's definitely need. But for context, the numbers that we have are 39 calls for service an entire year at the Solace. And for context, we have on the high end, some of our properties would be like our downtown hotels, the Motel 6 in all of 2024, which we still have a few weeks left in 2025, had 273 calls for service. The number of calls for service at Western Colony, which is closer to the size of what's being proposed, was 256. For those areas, we have a number of arrests that equals the number of calls for service. That's all of Solace. And Solace is a bigger project. So those are just a few data points that speak to the management and on-site oversight that we can point to help mitigate some of the concerns. But that said, I'm not going to minimize input from the neighborhood. that we hear from in future council members. Councilmember-elect Lopez, happy to hear that and share more data and let you guys make informed decisions moving forward. Thanks.
All right, thanks. Next on our agenda is a proposed general plan water use and preservation element. Brandon, you're going to do it, or?
Actually, our consultants are going to. I was just going to introduce it.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, so the next item is for the water use and preservation element that's part of the general plan that we've been working on for the past 2 years and received a lot of public input on. Jen Gardner from Logan Simpson and Ben Osterling are going to, well, Ben's here to answer any questions you might have, but Jen is going to present through Zoom. So I'll turn the time over to her and hopefully technology will work.
All right, took a second to find the mute button there. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, well, good evening, Chair and Council. We're really excited to present the proposed water use and preservation element for your consideration this evening. I think you guys have seen this presentation in the past, so I'll kind of keep it brief. And as Brandon mentioned, Ben and I are here to answer any questions. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on 1 second. I'm getting some. Okay, sorry about that. Some video started playing. All right, a big part of the legislative intent behind this project was driven by statewide drought from 2021 to 2023, leading to a desire to improve the conditions of the Great Salt Lake, which is conserved in Ogden directly affects the stability of the lake. In 2022, the state legislature adopted State Law 10-9A-403 to address the water issues to become a more resilient to drought conditions. The legislative requirements are general, so there are some key components that we cover in the water use and preservation element, as well as further in the landscape ordinance. The document evaluates how existing and future development patterns affect water demand and infrastructure capacity. A large component of the plan element includes close coordination with the water provider, which is the City of Ogden, to ensure that we know what programs there are in place and how they're working or what the outcomes are. This effort goes beyond the plan itself and includes the code, as I mentioned before. The document is broken down into 6 key concepts, which cover water conservation, drought resilience, infrastructure protection, public education, and integrated planning through the items that you see on the screen, which include water in Utah, water in Ogden, the culinary water system, the secondary water system, water conservation, and then a series of goals and action items. Like I just mentioned, the element does focus on culinary water provided by the city. The city does not provide secondary water. However, secondary water is available to some areas on the western side of the city. Ogden does provide water to jurisdictions outside of the city, but the boundary of this study were directly included with, the boundaries of the outside areas were not included in this study. Over the past decade, residents have become more responsible in how they use water, leading to a per capita use decline over time, which is a really good thing. So you guys are trending in the right direction. Adjusted gallons per capita per day. This graph has adjusted the gallons per capita per day to exclude the surrounding county and municipalities so that we can see the comparison. And as you can see in the pie chart over to the right, Utah's outdoor recreation water use can be as high as 65% of the total given in any year. This means that our landscaping policies can have a huge impact on water use. The general plan identified population projections based on the future land use map. But these are distinct because they are tied to the land use as opposed to some other population projections that rely on methods completely unrelated to Ogden's plans for future and instead depend on historic growth. This map highlights areas that may require higher water use based on future job growth or housing. And the important item to note here is that Ogden's current water supply exceeds the projected demand, which is, again, a good thing. Water conservation methods incorporated into the element include updated drought response frameworks, enhanced data integration, improved public communication, cross-chapter coordination, and equity emphasis. And this water conservation portion is tied directly to the presentation you heard earlier on the updated water conservation plan. So in closing, the water element includes 4 primary goals supported by actions. The goals are to reduce outdoor water use, reduce indoor water use, encourage educational conservation efforts, and improve operational efficiencies for providers and large users. So with that, staff recommends approval. So staff recommends the City Council approve the water use and preservation element of the general plan and be adopted based on it implementing the goals and objectives of the general plan. That concludes our presentation. I'll be happy to stay on for any questions. Thank you.
Thanks. Are there any questions for Jen? Hey, I do have a couple. If you go back a few slides.
Sure.
One more.
How far would you like me to go?
Keep going right
Okay.
there, right there. So,
sorry, I think there was a lag.
So we just got done with our the water conservation plan for 2025, and I'm just curious why these are not matching up to the numbers in our water conservation plan. I mean, why are we putting it at a regional goal of 200 gallons per capita per day when our goal is 174?
If I can jump in and answer that question, help Jen out here. There's really 2 reasons. One is the water conservation plan is a longer time frame. It's out to 2065. Also, the general plan is focusing on more industrial development and commercial development and job development. And the odd thing that you do, it actually projects lower total water usage, but because you're not adding as much population, your gallons per capita looks a little bit higher, but it's actually lower water use that way, lower total water use.
It's not quite 9 o'clock, but I'm not understanding
You
that
mean in
math.
this one? Yeah, I don't know what you mean.
Yes.
Which one is which?
So it's a different time period. So this just goes out to 2050. The water conservation plan goes out to 2065. So it's a longer time period.
But we're already using less than what is there now.
It's a lower total water use, but per capita looks higher because you're not adding as many residents.
So industrial use is a higher rate and being spread over the population, making each individual look like they're consuming more water?
Yes. If you add a job that uses water, your per capita goes up because you're not adding people. If we actually projected more population, our per capita use would go down. It's an odd thing. But just because of the ratio of total water usage to population.
So let me ask you this question. So it's the future land or future water use. Why would we not put a goal that's less than this?
You could. It would require even greater water conservation measures,
Oh, that's what I was getting at. He said it.
or less,
Sorry.
or less jobs, which would be very impactful.
Less
to the
use
rest
it,
of our-
it's not necessarily less jobs, it's just less use at commercial and industrial areas, right?
Mhm.
So when we're talking about this, the one that Brady and Matt were talking about, that's residents' water usage, right? Is that what I understood?
It's total water usage, but yes.
So, but we have, in our community, we have car washes and we have and lots of industrial stuff that use a lot of water. We have, companies that actually make a product out of our water and truck it away. And so
yes,
it's really difficult for us to say, well, you guys got to conserve water, because that's just saying, well, you got to make less of your product.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So
yes.
Yeah, those are the things that I think are probably weighing into this that don't weigh into the other. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Was only residential use.
Yeah, I guess. Tick, tick, tick.
Yeah, whatever. Any other questions? I guess I'm not following the math of that, so an equivalent residential unit seems like an equivalent residential unit, and I think it should be all the same, but that's. All right, well, any other questions? Did we talk about the preservation? The preservation piece of that is by the water use, is that correct? The outdoor water use. Is that correct? The preservation element?
It includes both the interior and exterior use,
right.
Though the biggest bang for the buck is exterior.
All right. Any other discussion? All right. This is an opportunity. We have received public input. This is an opportunity to receive public input. Anybody?
I'm back. So I just want to remind people that, the Great Salt Lake, it mentioned that, this kind of came about because of drought in 2022 and 2023. The Great Salt Lake didn't fall into the state that it's in just 2 years of drought. This is, decades of upstream water diversions have caused a pretty consistent decline in lake levels over the past 25 years. So this is something where, the state's mandating that we're doing this because they actually acted on something. They cared, there was concern about the collapse of the Great Salt Lake ecosystem. In 2023, when it reached a record low level, and that's why we have this. Something that's just a little bit concerning to me with your stakeholder group, there was not a single conservation voice anywhere in there. That's something that probably should be considered when you're talking about water issues. Water conservancy districts are not conservation voices. When they were founded, it was conserving water. It was kind of based on this old thought that any drop of water going to the Great Salt Lake was wasted. And conserving water for our use. So I would encourage you to make sure that, in any updates of these plans and things like that, that there is a conservation voice involved. The plan mentions the role that secondary water will play in future Ogden development. And I just want to remind you that it's all coming from the same watershed. Just because it's not treated doesn't mean it's just something we don't have to think about, that we don't need to think about with our planning. With those water meters installed by 2030, I just got mine, and hopefully some associated billing for gallons used, it will be coming online sometime after that. The cost of secondary water delivery is going to go up significantly, and it might make sense to combine those systems. I've heard conversations about this, so we can't just count on that meeting our needs in the future. Something else mentioned in this, and I'm just going to quote the report exactly, a key opportunity for cities to guide conservation is through the application of landscaping requirements. This is one of their strongest tools because across the Wasatch Front, outside water use far exceeds indoor water use, especially for institutional and residential land uses that irrigate relatively larger landscaped areas. They cite some statistics from Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District, where summer residential water use was 3 times that of winter water use, and institutional summer water use was nearly 5 times that of winter water use. So you could assume most cities along the Wasatch Front would follow a similar pattern, and that's something we really should pay more attention to, I think. Thanks.
Any other comments? All right. Ready for a motion if you
All right,
are.
I will make that motion.
Speaking of tick tick.
Or was there more conversation? Nope. I would make the motion that we adopt the proposed ordinance 2025-41.
And I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Ritchie, second by Councilmember Graff to adopt proposed ordinance 2025-41. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Aye.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Traburka.
Aye.
Councilmember Graff.
Aye.
Councilmember Myers.
Aye.
Vice Chair Heyer.
Aye.
Chair White.
I'm going to say no, and I only am going to say no because I think we need to do better in the future. So I know it has to go into the general plan. So. All right, next on the agenda is reports from administration, pre-disaster mitigation plan. Mr. E. Miller.
Thanks for having me tonight. Thanks for putting me on your agenda and giving me the time to go over this. I'm here to present on Weber County's pre-disaster mitigation plan. The resolution, or the proposed joint resolution to adopt this plan that will last for 5 years for us. The executive summary in the plan, start right off, states that hazard mitigation involves any sustained action to reduce or eliminate long-term risk to human life and property from hazards. It's been well documented, and I stated this in the work group. I misquoted a little bit, but for every $1 we spend on pre-disaster mitigation, it saves an average of $7 for future disaster costs. So it's a good return on investment when we do things like this. This plan, it states that it's the 2024 mitigation plan. The only reason why that is because we finished it in 2024. We have to send it to the state for approval. They have 60 days to approve it. Once they approve it, then it goes to the FEMA, and they have 90 days to approve it. We were a little bit efficient this year while we were creating the plan. We involved the state and FEMA at the same time, so we only had one revision sent back to us. And every time it gets sent back to us, that time starts again. So we only had one sent back to us from the state when the state and FEMA were reviewing it. So it didn't start our time over very much. And so it was approved on June 26th. This is the approval letter from FEMA, June 26th of 2025. And I'm here today to present to see if we can adopt this, to have this be our working plan for the next 5 years. It states in there that it goes up until June 25th, 2030, and then after that we have to resubmit a plan to have it approved again. The 5-year cycle starts. If we do major adjustments to the plan, any municipality within the county wants to add improvements to that, then it goes through the whole approval process again, but it still stays within that time frame, if that makes sense. Here's 14 hazards that Weber County, the most vulnerable hazards that Weber County are presented with. As you can see, in the last 5 years, there's been a few of the disasters that we've dealt with or issues that we've dealt with here in the city that are on this list. Specifically flood, thunderstorms, or extreme weather events. And then just kind of tying with everything else that's been said today, drought is on here because it's always a big issue for us. Kind of a thing that we constantly face year round. People don't think that we're in drought conditions in the wintertime, but we've kind of experienced it this start of this season where kind of late snowfall and things. So any money we can spend to help prevent any of these disasters happening is going to be best for our infrastructure, best for our community, and best for our citizens. Here I've added a few things of what we're doing currently now or that's on our radar in the next 5 to 10 years long term to help make our community more resilient, to help build our infrastructure. A few of the things that were actually presented today with our director with water is kind of replace these water lines, things like that. Any water that we can save that we're not wasting helps in those future conditions and drought. To note on this, with this adoption or to the resolution, there's no fiscal note to it and there's no tie to the budget on this, as these are things that are currently in place that we're doing, things that are on our radar that we have that we're going to do in the future, and or things that we want to present to the state and or federal to get grants for these things. A lot of these, we can say it's a wish list for some of these projects that we want to have done, but those wish lists include having support from the state and or federal with monies coming from them to help us support doing these projects. So there's no fiscal note or anything like that tied to this proposal. The main goal of the pre-disaster mitigation is to protect life and property by prioritizing actions that reduce risk to critical infrastructure and community lifelines, including safety and security, health and medical, and the communication lifelines. That's all I have, short and sweet. Try to get you guys out of here at a decent time. Any questions for me in this time?
No, are there any questions? Short and sweet.
Great job.
Our favorite.
I'd love to, unless there's any discussion, I'd love to propose that we adopt Joint Resolution 2025-7.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Chaburka, second by Councilmember Ritchie to adopt proposed joint resolution 2025-7. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Councilmember Chaburka?
Aye.
Councilmember Graff?
Aye.
Councilmember Myers?
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie?
Aye.
Vice Chair Heyer?
Aye.
Chair White?
Aye, that passes. Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is some unfinished business around the proposed massage business regulations. Christian,
Uh-oh,
there he
broke
is.
the internet.
You should be good to go. Yeah, don't forget those, Kenny. That's
Yeah, you're gonna need
bad
those.
thing.
And driving the fire truck home without your glasses.
Yeah.
I know, it's really dry up
Uh-oh. Security.
Oh, dear.
Don't press that button.
don't want to wing it. huh?
Do it without your props.
Yeah. In the olden days, that's what we used to
Yeah, I
do.
know, you had to have a backup plan.
Yeah.
I just do want to say how much I appreciate that it is warm up here. I appreciate whoever did that to make it warm in here. Thank you.
Paid the bill, did you, Mayor?
It never does that, does it?
With the electric bill.
Maybe with the renewable energy, they'll be free.
Yeah. I got a bridge I'd like to sign.
Oh, Chair White, members of the council,
There it
I'm
is.
off to a rough start. Thank you very much for having me. That was on me. I'm sorry about that. Thank you for having me. I'm here to follow up on a conversation that we originally had on November 18th around the massage business ordinance. I'd like to just do a brief recap, remind us why we're here and what we're talking about, and then I'd like to address some of the concerns and questions that we had at our last get together. Massage therapy is a licensed healthcare profession. Would like to recognize that. This ordinance provides local standards to help address issues that have emerged in the industry statewide and locally. To be rather blunt on this, when we're talking about issues that have emerged in this industry statewide and locally, we're talking about prostitution and human trafficking, to be quite honest. Ogden continues to see illicit operations posing as massage businesses, leading to public safety concern. Our existing code does not provide operational standards or effective enforcement tools specific to massage businesses. So that's what our goal is here with this ordinance, is to protect public safety, support legitimate practitioners, and deter illegal activity. And then just a quick overview to remind us what this ordinance does. It's going to establish clear business licensing requirements. It's going to walk us through the application process, what that looks like. It's going to walk us through the inspection process, what that looks like. It's also going to define and structure processes for suspension or revocation. It's also going to provide transparent appeal procedures for operators and property owners. I did want to recognize that not everybody that's seeking a massage is going to a massage establishment. As we talked about at our last get together, there are medical procedures that require massages. So I think it's important to point out that there are exemptions from this ordinance. I've listed a couple of examples here, but these are the individuals that are exempt from licensure at the state level under the Massage Therapy Practice Act. Nurses, doctors, chiropractors, sole practitioners, students that are going through training to become massage therapists, they're exempt from this ordinance. And very closely related to that are the establishments that are exempt from this ordinance. If they're exempt from registration at a state level, they're going to be exempt from this ordinance as well. We're talking hospitals, chiropractic offices, home occupations, and the sort. So now that we've had a quick reminder of why we're here, I wanted to get into the concerns that we had. It was brought up a HIPAA concern, whether we specifically to a client intake sheet that is required at the time of application. This ordinance requires a blank client intake sheet at the time of application. This client intake sheet is an indicator of industry standard and professional practice in this industry. And that's all it's intended to do, is to show that professionalism and that indication of being a legitimate massage establishment. The HIPAA applies only to identifiable health information, and none is collected under this ordinance. I've reviewed this with our city legal team and confirmed that this ordinance has no HIPAA exposure. It was also brought up that in talking with our 3-year moratorium, once a business license for massage therapy is banned, we are proposing a 3-year moratorium on that property for any other massage businesses to operate at that location. After reviewing this with our legal team, there was potential to infringe on some property rights there without due process. And so that's really where the revisions come to this ordinance versus what you saw last time, is we have added language in there to add that due process. So property owners, along with business owners, property owners are going to receive formal notice of violations and hearings. They're going to be invited to appear at any of the hearings or appeal processes and have the opportunity to have their voices heard and be able to speak to why this ban should or should not be imposed on that property. And ultimately, it will come down to the hearing officer to determine whether that 3-year moratorium would be appropriate or not. We feel that these additions ensure fairness while maintaining our enforcement authority. There was a concern about outreach to our existing massage businesses. As I mentioned at our last go around, we have 38 massage businesses here in Ogden City, and 7 of those 38 are potentially going to be affected by this ordinance. I had the opportunity to reach out to all 7 of these businesses. I got a response from 4 of them. 2 of them, we had really good in-depth phone calls, and 2 of them preferred to communicate via email, to which I collected some of their thoughts and input on this proposed ordinance. The respondents acknowledged illegal activity occurring in the industry locally. All the respondents supported the proposed ordinance as a tool to strengthen legitimacy and curb illicit operations. And respondents reported that the ordinance requirements, such as the client intake sheet and the DOPL compliance, match professional practice that most of them engaged in already anyway. So just a quick summary of what we've talked about. The HIPAA concern has been resolved. That client intake sheet is a blank intake sheet at application process only. That's not going to be available to a business license inspector conducting a business license inspection or anything of that sort. The revised ordinance now includes meaningful due diligence for property owners and the business owners. And outreach to all licensed massage establishments has been completed, and responding businesses expressed support for the ordinance and its goals. With that, staff recommends moving forward with the adoption of the revised ordinance.
Great. Are there any questions for Christian? No?
I just want to say how much I really appreciate you doing that extra outreach and that legwork on those questions. Thank you.
You betcha.
All right. Motion.
With no other discussion, I would make the motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2025-37.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Ritchie, second by Councilmember Graff, to adopt proposed ordinance 2025-37.
Chair,
This-
if I could interrupt, we do have the revised ordinance.
revised, that's right.
If you want to substitute that with a new language. So.
Can I amend my motion here? Sorry, here.
Can I just state it for you?
I would like to move that we substitute ordinance 2025-37 with the revised ordinance which addresses revocation or suspension hearings related to the violations and revocations of licenses. And that's a voice vote, I think.
And I'll
right?
second that revision.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Ritchie, second by Councilmember Graff, to adopt proposed ordinance 2025-37 with the revised substitute
This would just be to substitute that.
Just
and then
to
a
Oh,
second-
just to substitute,
Yeah, second
sorry.
vote would be
Just to
adopt
substitute the
to
motion.
substitute it, yeah, three.
Thank you.
The ordinance with revised language.
All right, this is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right, now I would move that we adopt the proposed ordinance as substituted 2025-37.
Second.
Oh, don't mess me up, man.
Oh, no, now I'm confused.
We have a motion by Councilmember Ritchie, second by Councilmember Blair, to adopt the amended
First, the amendment,
proposed
and then
ordinance 2025-37. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Traburka?
Aye.
Councilmember Graff?
Aye.
Councilmember Myers?
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie?
Aye.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Vice Chair Heyer?
Aye.
Chair White?
Aye, that passes. Dear goodness. I do, as Councilmember Chaperka said, thank you. I mean, I think one of the things that you don't see very often, because it happens, I don't know, somewhat rarely, but we came to a work session, we had some questions. Christian went back to the administrative side, and we have a much better ordinance now because of it. And so it worked, the process worked like it's supposed to. So that's what happens when we have a good communication back and forth. So thank you. With that, an opportunity for public comments. We're going to stop inviting you.
Exactly.
I'm kidding.
I'm channeling my inner Ogden resident tonight.
I'm kidding you.
Sorry.
It's like she's getting it all in.
All right.
Loose.
Yeah, I mean, what?
Gonna do this.
It's almost 9 o'clock.
I know it's almost 9. I'll talk fast.
No, we're all getting a little punchy. Is all.
So, and I just want to thank Bart and Marcia and Angela for your work on the city council. It's somehow fitting that it's almost 9 p.m. and you're still here. I think I know better than most people the time and effort and heartache and frustration and elation and all the things that come about from being a council member. And I just want you to know I've appreciated all of the work that you've put into our city over the years. And Janine, thank you too. I've enjoyed working with you, having you as council executive director. And I think back to 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, I'm dating myself. I didn't have gray hairs back then. Glenn did not have gray hair either when he started working for the city. I'm going to just point that out. But as a new council director, the executive director was vital to my success and really taught me the ropes, how to accomplish things, what our roles and responsibilities are. And I mean, you're drinking out of a fire hose the first few months you're on the council. And I'm grateful for Bill Cook, I'm grateful for Janine, and I'm also grateful that Glenn will now be there as 3 new council members step into their new roles. So congratulations, Glenn. And it is not 9 o'clock, so I'm going to step away.
Thanks, Amy.
Amy Wicks is always a hard act to follow.
I know.
I'm Jean Evenden and resident of Ogden, and I've had the pleasure recently of speaking with a few of you about Utah Community Renewable, and I appreciate the opportunity to address the council tonight. And because it's so late and I need to stay on schedule and you all need to get home, I'm going to rely on my notes quite a bit here. So it's taken a very long time for the involved parties to reach this critical juncture where impending hearings will be held by the Public Service Commission and a final decision can be rendered. I realize that until that happens and cost details are made known, that it may be difficult for some of you to make a decision about adopting this program in Ogden. What I'd like to ask is for you to give some thought to what it would mean for Ogden residents to be able to make their own decision about participating. Ogden has been a full and engaged partner in the URC process with representation not only with Council Member Chaperka as the co-chair of the agency board, but with Ogden City staff represented on both the low income and communications subcommittees. And it's going to be a little heavy lifting to get the word out, but I have every confidence that the groundwork laid for rolling out this program will assure that low-income members of our community are fully informed of cost savings opportunities that they might be eligible for, and that communications with all other residents will be robust. If the City Council sees clear to adopt an ordinance and keep Ogden in the program, residents will realize the opportunity to make their own decision to stay in or opt out if the cost proves to be too prohibitive. And further, please keep in mind that opting out is an option that can be made in perpetuity. In 2019, the Utah legislature gave residents an unprecedented opportunity to choose clean, reliable, and locally sourced, cost-effective energy. It's a pioneering program, the first of its kind in the nation, and serves as a model for municipal collaboration with a major utility. It's unlikely that this opportunity to bring new clean energy to the grid on this scale will be made again anytime soon, if ever. In closing, I'd like to remind you that Ogden residents responded quite favorably to a survey in which, across all demographics, they expressed their willingness to pay some increment for renewable energy. And more recently, Ogden residents are very well represented in the mix of favorable public comments currently being submitted to the PSC in advance of their hearings next week. I'm kind of keeping tabs on all of those public comments since they started going in February. Thanks for your time, and special thanks to Mayor Nadolski for having the foresight to keep the program alive in Ogden 2 years ago, to Chair Harris for your candid appreciation for what's at stake here, coupled with your strong support of this program, to Dave for stepping up to take care of Ogden on the agency board, and also to Lorenzo Long for his continued leadership and sustainability for Ogden. So you all are awesome, and thank you from me as well for your service the last few years, and good luck to you, and I know you're going to continue to help Ogden.
Yeah. Thanks, Jean.
Good evening. My name is Martin O'Loughlin, and I own and run some businesses out at Ogden Airport. I came there in 2001 and took over one of the bigger aviation businesses in Utah, so I've been there 24 continuous years. During that time, I have also led companies and been responsible for negotiating and executing and supervising contracts on 55 other airports, domestically and internationally, but Ogden Airport is my home. That's my soul. I love this place. 7 years ago, I decided to buy a commercial building out there, and I refurbished it at a cost of double what I paid for the original hangar. And I worked with Jared, who I can't see, but I think he's still over there. And he would be able to attest whether I was a willingly compliant upgrader and refurbisher of a premium property on Ogden Airport. And then I got a tenant in there, and then I took over that company, and I doubled the number of employees to 55, and I have tripled the revenues to over $6 million. And as a reward for that investment and that risk, you guys decided to take my hangar when it was 40 years old, even though I had reestablished its 75-year commercial useful life. Now, I could have come up here, I could have written to the paper, I could have sued, I could have joined suits, I could have rabble-roused. Instead, what I took was what I thought the high road, and that was I've been working with the city for the 5 years since to try to educate and to try to work with and show how business leaders think, how investors think, how tenants think. And 2 years ago, I couldn't imagine being up here and saying this, but the last year working with Mayor Ben and with Mara and with Jared and the new airport director is the first time in that 24 years when I have thought there were people that cared greatly about what we business owners and investors on the airport think. So I'm advocating for you to shift a little bit of responsibility from the council, because you can't be expert at everything. The range of things you discussed tonight is amazing. How can you be expert about the unique ecosystem of an airport? So I'm begging you, and I'm going to support this, that you transfer a little bit of power to people who are listening to the tenants. And let me show you how firmly I feel about this. Just a month ago, I cobbled together from all my premium employees and some other investors $3 million to buy that business that I was talking about. So that's my investment in Ogden Airport. So I'm begging you to share my faith in this team and give them the authority to keep making it right out there. Thanks.
Thank you.
Martin O'Loughlin.
Oh.
He did, he said.
Madam Chair, members of the council, and Your Honor, after that last action you took on massage parlors on this long night, you could probably all use a good massage, couldn't you? I came tonight to observe what happens with the council director and to make another couple of comments. First of all, thank you, Councilmember Graff, for inviting me to be a part of that selection process. I appreciated the opportunity to be involved. You did a national search, and in the end, you had some great candidates, and in the end, you realized and recognized the gem that you have right here in your own ranks, and want to congratulate Mr. Symes for that. Just before the meeting tonight, Chief Slater and I were talking about the quality of employees in this city. And it just makes me so proud to be part of a city that's so well managed with so many great employees and with a good council like you are. Janine has been an amazing, she's kind of helped you all behave yourselves during the time that she's been here. And she's done a good job of that. And she's also presented you with facts that help you make the kinds of good decisions that you've been making. So thank you to you as well. Three of you are leaving, and I have a long relationship with each one of you. Thank you, Chair White, for what you've done, for your honesty, and for your deep concern about how this city is developed. And the same to you, Councilman Blair. We haven't always agreed, but we've agreed way more than we've ever disagreed. And I really appreciate the service that you've provided and the insight that you've given me in the discussions that we've had. I don't know when I've ever disagreed with Councilmember Chaburka. She and I tend to think a little bit alike, and appreciate the association I've had with her over the years at United Way and at Intermountain and in other capacities that she's had. So best wishes to each one of you in the future in whatever you do. And to all of you, it's the holiday season. And thank you for being such good leaders of this community that we all love. And happy holidays to each of you.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. Linda Sanchez. I did some, after the massage thing, I went to the last one. I went home, and my son, that's just a young guy, he's in his 20s, I was telling him, you would not believe what we learned at city council meeting. And then he enlightened me of what actually happened to a friend of his that came to visit. He said he went to a massage place and he didn't know what she was saying. Nothing was listed, so the list of services would help, and it was just gestures. And that put this poor young man a very awkward face. But then I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in Salt Lake and says, oh, well, a full body massage to one person is not a full body massage to another person. And I said, what do you mean? And she's like, well, that depends if you want the clothes on or off. And I said, oh, well, so then if you put a list of full body, that is not going to matter unless you detail out what is in somebody's mind. So I'm just saying there might need to be some adjustment to that. With that being said, I was supposed to, the last couple of times, put say for the trails, for my husband, he uses the trails. He would like something in the paper to say that the dog poop on the trails does not disintegrate in a bag, and it would be better to be put in the trash can and then therefore emptied. And if we could just make sure those are emptied. That's the checklist for that. Now, for as far as last week, I just have input on when we do public comments. Right here, there is a nice little thing that talks about what the rules are, what we need to, obligations. When we have a closed session, what I'd like to have is if we have a specific time frame that we're going to have to leave,
that it be detailed in here or in the public comments. If we are only taking public comment for a short amount of time, just please put public comment until this time, because then people will know. And I feel like that's a fair, that would be my suggestion. And then, let's see, I feel like I was worried that 3 minutes was not going to be enough, but it might be. As far as that goes, there might, I am thinking about putting myself through massage. But does that mean if I open up a business, I am a nurse? There is going to be some problems that people are going to say, hey, this pertains to this doesn't pertain to this. And it might need to be universal, because then somebody will say, it's not being fair. And my name is a HIPAA violation, just so you know.
All right, thank you, Linda.
I have some questions on the, what is it? The Utah Renewable Communities. I haven't seen a lot about the costs. Are they clearly defined yet, what this project's going to cost? And where is that funding coming from? It sounded in the previous meeting that they were talking about putting the equipment in rural areas. Have they defined just how much acreage we need to meet their goal? And is that even available if they will be located in this area? And are we looking at a break-even point on this investment? Will it ever break even to where the costs go down? Or then will maintenance fees go on indefinitely and it will just be ever increasing cost on that? And when and how will we be able to opt out of this? That's not, I heard a few things in the meeting 60 days before, but not a lot about the details on that. And let's see if I had any more questions on that real quick. And the whole pricing thing, are you going to start charging on our bill? Will they start charging on our bills before these are built, before the actual equipment is in production or in use? And will that be in addition to the fees?
Thor, run.
It's my time.
Yeah, run on up here.
That took a little bit. First thing, I want to apologize for being 15 minutes after 9. That sucks. But
State your name real quick. State your name, Thor.
Oh, right. I'm Thor. I'm an Ogden resident. First, most I want to say regarding like Aspen Care Facility. I know that was like a really annoying situation. Especially with the like natural contradiction between county interests and city interests. The county wants to put people who are outside of Ogden into Ogden, and as a city, it is our like duty to serve residents first. And that is like a really, and I was really concerned how many of the new city council people ran on the fact that Aspen Care Facility didn't pass. And I'm a very progressive person, and the fact that was the big concern for the progressive candidates really bothered me. But I'm really sad to see y'all go. When I was youth council and growing up here, I think I was under a very good era of Ogden leadership, but I'm also very excited for who's coming next. We're entering a very like political era, and that leadership is definitely reflected in that. We're going from a very technical, especially representing you, Ms. White, to a very like ideological. I'm not sure if that's necessarily a bad thing now, but certainly the change. And I'm really sad to see all three go. Yeah, but I want to just specifically say that I don't know how you're dealing with this like county city debacle when it comes to housing, because it seems like such a mess to have to deal with, Mayor. Like, awful. And I hope all of you have a great night.
Thanks, Thor. All right. Anyone else? Okay. I think I wrote down 10 questions from Linda, but maybe from Laura, but there's a few. Yeah. Anybody? I'm not the person to be talking about
Dave
the
made notes.
or the
Yeah, Dave
renewable
made
energy.
notes.
Well, I took some, and I don't
First of all,
pretend
it's the
to
I've got them costs.
cost. The range that they're projecting is an additional $2 to $7 per month on your bill. Dollars?
Yeah, the whole
Oh.
project. That's what I wanted to
You-
know. Do we
Oh, I don't know that we have that.
The capital investment? I have no idea.
Yeah, you'll have to watch. There's going to be a whole series of meetings on December 16th. You can watch a whole public day where there's presentations and then public comment at 6 p.m. I mean, you could watch it at a later time or something, but it's very extensive, all the different details that go into it and what the cost per community is based on how many people we have and all those kinds of things. So it's hard to just kind of say what it is generally. That's one thing that we are going to find out after the program gets accepted, hopefully by the Public Commission, is then we will have more of those details hammered out because they have to approve of all these different elements in it. So that's why it's been so long and frustrating.
And I would say it's impossible to know the full cost until we know what communities are in, right?
Right, in the
Because
very end.
obviously the more communities that are involved, economies of scale, you're going to have a lower cost potentially, but
yeah,
it's like that whole chicken and egg thing. We won't really know.
There are 19 communities.
Right, the project cost
No,
will
we
be
don't-
dependent on the number of communities involved in the in
yeah,
it.
it's very, very
If
complicated.
all 19 participate, it'll be a higher capital investment to create the resources to generate the electricity, obviously, more than it would be if there's just a dozen. We wouldn't need to put as many solar panels out, for example.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I think also there's some factors that are out of everybody's control. For example, for a while there was going to be a lot of incentive coming from the federal government for some of the possible project costs, and now that's questionable based on many factors. There's also, the cost of the actual materials to build the infrastructure. And then there's also another way that we offset our costs. Like, for example, in the Blue Sky program right now, which I'm a part of, I'm not paying for, let's say, wind turbines to power my home right now. I'm offsetting the cost of the infrastructure by helping to support that in another place. So there's a lot of questions, but there will be a specific timeline for you to know those details of how much the cost is, and then to understand if you want to be a part of it or not, and then opt out. And there will be a long runway for that opting out period, if that's helpful. So many questions.
I think that answer, I don't think that we have a lot of the answers to the questions
Yeah,
you
and
asked, if that's the direction.
For an individual, I think it was also asked, when can you opt out? An individual can opt out of the program at any time. Month to month, year to year, day to day, you can just say, I'm done with this program, and you're out.
It's automatic opt-in though, so if you miss that, you automatically, and there's a penalty
So-
if you don't get out in time.
Yes, unless you're qualify financially as a low-income individual. And then there's not any.
And it's a $30. They're estimating a $30 penalty to opt out after the initial enrollment period. So
I believe Lorenzo said today that there'll be a 2-month pre-period, and then there's another 7 months or 6 months. So you'll have up to 8 months.
Yeah.
You'll have up to 8 months to opt out.
All right,
Yeah.
there's probably a lot of questions that maybe that's a one-on-one that we should talk to Linda about.
So.
I would set Linda up with,
Laura.
Lorenzo. Laura, I'm sorry, with Lorenzo,
Lorenzo.
because he knows the ins and out, and he can answer a lot more.
to the extent that you can.
He gets paid the big
And just before we leave the subject, if the Public Utilities Commission says yes to this, and let's just say the 1st of February, then there's going to be a 90-day period where the City Council has the opportunity to chew on this and chew on it with the public. And before we render a decision about whether we're in or we're not in. And that's where all of these details, once the Public Utilities Commission says yay, that's where all the details will become hard and fast.
Right, I don't think there were any other questions. Did I miss the other question? Any other questions?
That was it.
Okay. All right. So maybe a follow-up with Lorenzo would be a good way to start. All right. All right. Comments from the mayor.
I've got a really long list, so I better get started. Just kidding. Just wanted to say congratulations to Glenn. Glenn, obviously having been in their seats and working close with you, you're a good man. You're really deserving of that opportunity. Congratulations to the council for making an exceptionally good choice. So, thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Comments from the council members.
I just want to make a quick comment to thank everybody for their kind words, and I definitely will miss being part of the council, but I'm really happy that it's time for me to move on, and I'm excited about Flor being the representative for District 1, and you can be sure I'll reach out to her if I have any comments, but I know she's going to do a great job, so I appreciate you all sticking it out till 9:23 or whatever it is.
I have a few things. First of all, for the mayor and Jared, if you would pass along, I forgot the gentleman from the airport's name, but if you would please pass on my appreciation for his willingness to take the high road and work with the city and try to find answers to problems that have faced our airport for a long time. One of my greatest successes is what we've done the last year maybe at the airport, and I'm super excited about the direction we're going, and it's definitely not because of anything that we learned or did. It's because of people like him and their willingness to see a need and fill a need and make Ogden at least on the council with me. And it wasn't until a couple years in someone asked, and I said I'm very grateful to have Amy Wicks on the council. And I've said this numerous times in this seat, I feel like I learned a lot more from you than I did from other council members. So thank you for being willing to share knowledge and share wisdom with me and help me see things through a different lens. And so I appreciate that, and I've tried to carry that forward. And I've always appreciated everything you did for me as a council member. So thanks again. On to Janine. I feel like all of us, I don't think that was a proper torch to pass along. You've created quite a legacy, and I appreciate everything that you've done here to help me and all of us be successful and make Ogden a better place. And I believe it should have been a giant mantle you were giving to Glenn, but I guess that takes form of the calendar. But I do appreciate everything that you did for me especially, but for all of us, and for the environment and the atmosphere that you created here within the city council. And I have the utmost respect for you and everything that you were able to accomplish and the way that you were able to accomplish it. And I wish you nothing but the best in your next endeavors. And now to you, Glenn. I would have gladly made the motion, and I would have gladly seconded the motion, but these guys were worried I'd cry, so they wouldn't let me make the motion. So I'm going to do my best to get through this without choking up, but it has been an honor to watch you, because I've been here almost the whole time. Well, I've been here the whole time. So yeah, I've been here the whole time. It's been an honor to watch you continue to take on new assignments, new responsibilities, and new tasks, and handle each of those with your skill and your confidence and your dedication to serving us and this city. So I'm not the least bit surprised that you were by far the best candidate. Like Janine said, when she talked to Bill, this is our man, and you've been the man, and you're going to be the man for a long time, and I appreciate you and for helping me and helping us, and I know that the council will do great things with you at the helm. So best of luck to you, and thank you for all that you've done. I won't say anything about Rich's sweater. Other than that, I'm good.
Well, we've already established he did shower today,
Yeah.
so it's okay. Yeah.
It might have been my wife. It might not.
It could have been, you're right. I just really quickly, I want to say a couple of things. First of all, I said this in the work session that I'm disappointed in a way that I'm not going to be here to fully be able to see the Utah Renewable Energy Community through. I've supported it from the beginning, and I'm just saddened that I won't be able to do that, but I am certain I will support it from afar. And to follow up with the airport, I think one of the things that people think is that we have been intimately involved with this process. And so all we are doing is trying to, as fast as we can, understand what's going on and asking questions. And I don't think anything along the way has been a pushback other than just trying to get us to understand. So thank you for being patient and letting us work through our process. And I agree. I don't think Janine giving Glenn the calendar was such a fair thing, but getting to know you over these many years, it is right in line with your humor and your, that just goes along with you as in your personality. You will definitely be missed, but you're handing it over to a really great guy. So. So yeah, with that, I don't have anything else either. Any other thing?
I just want to thank Jean for meeting with me the other day, and just again, this whole community renewable thing, there's a lot to it. I don't know I'm fully all in or fully all out. I just still have a lot to learn, so I appreciate those who are willing to share their perspectives with me and what their thoughts are and everything. So, excuse me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Yeah. All right. Any other comments?
If that's all. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Geez, that wasn't even a hesitation. We have a motion by Councilmember Blair, second by Councilmember Chaburka to adjourn. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?